The Tacoma Athletic Commission's 2020 Tribute to Champions is brought to you by these proud sponsors.
We want to first begin with Tacoma Athletic President Jim Merritt. He sends his regrets at not being here, be able to be present tonight, but he does have a video that we're going to see right now.
Welcome to the Tribute to Champions. The Tacoma Athletic Commission and the Shanaman Sports Museum are pleased to host this event to recognize Tacoma and Pierce County individuals who have had outstanding sports achievements. We thank all of you for attending, with a special thank you to all of those being honored, to those who have traveled a great distance, and to everyone for patience awaiting this event that is actually happening. Today we honor contributions to our community through sports, recreation, and civic betterment. Congratulations to our Hall of Fame inductees who have been great leaders and role models for our youth. A special thanks to those involved in promoting and encouraging sports through coaching and officiating. Congratulations to our Amateur Athletes of the Year as they become the leaders of tomorrow, and our first family of sports for the positive example on building strong family bonds through sports. The Tacoma Athletic Commission has been supporting local youth in sports since 1942 and will be celebrating its 80th anniversary next year, with a pledge to continue efforts on behalf of those who excel in the classroom as well as sports. Thank you to our sponsors for their financial support to make this event possible, and to the volunteers who have been working for months to ensure a memorable tribute to champions. Congratulations and welcome.
And now we'd like to introduce the past president of the Tacoma Athletic Commission, Sandy Snyder.
Hello, good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Oh, come on. How's everybody doing tonight? There we go. There you go. Thank you all for joining us tonight for what will be a night to remember. My name is Sandy Vinovich Snyder. I'm the past president of the Tacoma Athletic Commission. The TAC has been a part of our community dating back to 1942, recognizing and supporting student athletes and youth sports in Tacoma in Pierce County. I am only the second female to hold that title of president. Yeah, right? That's what I'm talking about. And that's one that I'm very, very proud of. We are in need of new members. We got to keep this organization moving forward, and joining something is something I hope that you all will do, especially those inductees tonight. I am also representing Columbia Bank. Columbia Bank has been a major supporter of the Tacoma Athletic Commission and the After the Year program for over 25 years. And I've had the privilege to actively participate for most of those years. Columbia Bank is your hometown bank, headquartered in downtown Tacoma, and it also grew up in Tacoma, much like a lot of you here today. Tonight is extra special for me, as we are not only recognizing some of my longtime friends, but also my favorite slightly older brother, Mike. As the back-to-back state championship football team of the Mount Tacoma High School, will be inducted to the Sports Hall of Fame. My dear lifelong friend, Terry Gooseman Bray, that I cheered with at both Baker and Mount Tacoma, was scheduled to be here with me tonight, but she wasn't feeling well and sends her heartfelt regrets. I would be remiss if I didn't give a special shout out to the hardest working man I've ever known, Mr. Mark Blau. Yeah, let's hear it for Mark Blau. Come on, you can do better than that. There you go. Events like tonight don't just happen, but the countless hours that Mark has spent putting this all together, along with his committee, is absolutely incredible. Those of us who have been on the receiving end of those middle-of-the-night emails at midnight to 4 a.m., you guys know what I'm talking about if you've been on that, right? Thank you, Mark, for all that you do for Tacoma and Pierce County sports. You, my friend, are absolutely priceless. So sit back, socially distance, and enjoy tonight's program. Oh, and lastly, go T-Birds!
This has been one wild ride. Thank you for your patience, understanding, and most of all, for being here. We started planning this event in June of 2019. This is the 4th date that's been on the drawing board, 784 days later, but who's counting? I know one person is for sure, and that is my extremely understanding wife, Cheryl. She's probably out there cringing. The stern looks over the years intensified significantly these last 4 weeks, but she's endured it thanks to golf, gardening, reading, and wine, not necessarily in that order. I need to thank her publicly for all of her support and patience. I also want to thank our committee members who have put in a lot of hours over the last 18 months. A big thanks to Janice Forbes, the figure skating director at Sprinkler Recreation Center, for coming on board to help us orchestrate the award presentations, and especially to Colleen Barta, who put the auction together, also rarely says no when it comes to helping put on an event like this. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge the University of Puget Sound men's basketball team and the swimming team for coming tonight to assist. So thank you, Loggers. There are some really cool stories that cropped up as we worked on this event. I want to share 2 of them with you. When we think of recognizing teams, who thinks of a newspaper sports staff? Well, now you know. We do. It's been so much fun to work with the staff in putting this together. Spencer Sheldon is here from Connecticut, his ESPN home. Joanne Kahn flew out here from Wisconsin to honor her late husband, Mike Kahn, who was a nationally recognized NBA expert. And there were staff members who originally planned to attend from Hawaii, Arizona, California, Florida, and New York. To me, it really exemplifies how close of a team that they really were. And tonight, there's still over 20 of the 50 team members that are present. Now, my guess is that we are quite possibly the first in the country to induct an entire sports staff. But with all of the APSE awards that they've racked up, they are truly deserving of this honor, and we're excited to have them here. When Rob Ring started preparing an article about Mount Tahoma's back-to-back state championship football teams, we thought it would be kind of fun to talk to some of the coaches, like Maury Boughton and Don Liebrink. Maury's got a phenomenal memory, and it was so fun to talk to him. And then we got together with Don. You have to understand that Don had been sick for quite a while, so we set up an interview through his wife, Iris, who could not be here tonight. Several sessions were canceled as Don wasn't feeling very well. We finally had a date of September 4th, 2020. I don't think I'll forget that date. It was Rob, Darrell Harper, our videographer Kirk Isaacson, and myself. We showed up, and Don's daughter answered the door. And she wanted to know if she could help us. We said, well, yeah, we're here to interview your dad. And she said, I don't know anything about that. And that was not a good start. She said, well, let me go back and check and see how Dad's doing. And so we're nervously waiting outside for about 15, 20 minutes. And then she finally comes back in and says, hey, Don's ready to talk. Come on back, but I don't know how long it's going to last. So we went back there, and Kirk gets all set up, and Rob asks the first question, and Don's face just lights up, and the words and the stories just start flowing. Darrell would remember something from a game. Don would start rattling off story after story. And Don was the offensive coordinator for the team. So when Rob asked him about Mike Vinovich, Don said, give me a sheet of paper. And he starts, grabs a pen, quickly scratches out a play, explained all of the options for Mike. He's just raving about the offense, where they're leading, and about how all of the teammates contributed to Mike's success running the ball. This is the original play that Don drew up. And there's a picture in your program of that play. I don't know why I hang on to this, but for some reason it's just kind of special. I can't throw this away because I can see Don writing up that play. We ended the interview about 10 minutes later, and it was absolutely an incredible afternoon with Don. He was at his best. Coach Liebrick passed away the very next day. That's why we'll never forget that afternoon. Art and I go back to the 70s when I was with the Pierce County Parks and Recreation Department. Art was covering an event for the Tacoma News Tribune Sports Department. So it's a friendship that goes back 45 years. I didn't feel too bad asking him to come out and do a favor and be an MC here. Art's written several books, including Out of Left Field about the Mariners, and he also co-founded Sports Northwest. But most importantly, he is a Mount Tacoma High School grad. So how perfect is it to have a T-Bird up here tonight to honor the school's 79 and 80 championship football teams. And we're fortunate to have Mike Gastineau here as well. Mike emceed a couple of State Sports Hall of Fame banquets with his sidekick, Dave Grosby, when they were on KJR. So he's certainly no stranger to the area, no stranger to an event like this. Besides broadcasting, Mike is also an author, having published Fear No Man this past year. It's a book that tells the inside story of the undefeated and national champion 1991 University of Washington football team. We have an amazing group of individuals here being recognized this evening, in addition to two great sports writers that are going to help celebrate, Art and Mike. Gentlemen, it's all yours, and on behalf of the Tacoma Athletic Commission and the Shanaman Sports Museum, thank you so much for being here.
Let's hear it from Mark Blau. Somebody's got to be the bell cow putting an event like this together, and it was Mark. And I want you, take a good look at this mug, take a good look at that mug. This is what it looks like when Chris Egan says, I can't make it, you'll have to ask somebody else. But we're happy to be here, and we're excited to be a part of the history of the evening. It's our honor to be MCs for tonight's festivities. We're going to present the tribute to champions. We're going to recognize a lot of athletes, coaches, officials, supporters who have dedicated their lives to sports so that the people involved can get the most out of it. Our belief is, based on looking at the script, that about half of Pierce County will be honored tonight,
and then next year we'll come back and we'll honor the other half of you who don't get in tonight. But we're very excited about it, and I'm happy to be working with my friend Art Thiel.
You know, I went up to Mark. We have a long history, and I said, Mark, how come I'm not being honored? And he said, Art, I'm saying this as a friend. You were a really crappy athlete. And I said, well, can I get something? Like tallest guy or something? He says, no, Art, you're not even good enough for that. But we do have a vacancy at Master of Ceremonies. And I said, well, if that's it, I guess I'll take it. But then again, he mentioned the key word for any sports writer worth his typos. There's a free meal involved. So it's been, this has been fun for me to come back and reacquaint myself with a whole lot of people here. And I didn't need any reacquaintance with my pal Mike Gastineau because we've worked together before. This is an exceedingly rare copy of a book that we did in 2009 along with our colleague Steve Rudman, The Great Book of Seattle Sports Lists. Now this is out of print right now, but you can still get it on Amazon, eBay, I suppose a garage sale, basement sale. And in fact, you will find a copy of this in many, many bathrooms in Western Washington.
You'll find one at my dentist too, and he'll let you photocopy it, even though I've told him I really wish he'd just tell people to go buy it. But I really do want to encourage buying this again, but I also want to encourage you to be aware of a brand new book that's coming out by none other than author Mike Gastineau, Fear No Man, about the 1991 University of Washington football team. It's coming out Wednesday. What a convenient time for you to start shopping for Christmas. Mike, explain the book. Thank you, Art, and I would appreciate any support you've got for it. It was a great story. It was a fun story to write, and that's enough about that. We're here to honor a lot of other people, but the book does come out on Wednesday. Before we get to the national anthem and the honorees and all of that, I always like at these events to take a moment. We're all going to have fun tonight. We're having food, we're having drinks, we're going to have some laughs. Let's thank the working people in the house tonight, the cooks, the food runners, the bartenders, the people who set the tables up and are going to take them down. Thank you for your work. You're working hard so we can have fun, and we appreciate it. All right, will you now all please rise for the playing of the national anthem, performed by the Derek Nelson and Family Trio from Olympia, Washington.
Hi, we're Derek Nelson and Family, and this is the Star-Spangled Banner. 1, 2, 3. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Well, that'll be a tough act to follow. As we get into the program, on a few different occasions, I'll be asking those of you who are getting awards to please go back to the back corner, my left, your right, to that back corner to the staging area so we can get you ready to bring you up to the stage. And right now, we'd like the recipients in the following categories to report to the staging area: the Connolly Law Office's Excellence in Officiating Award, the First Family of Sports, the Frosty Westering Excellence in Coaching Award, the Doug MacArthur Lifetime Achievement Award, and the Dick Hanula Amateur Athlete of the Year Award winners. If you are winning an award in any of these categories, if you could head to the back corner to my left over there and gather up in the staging area, we would appreciate it. Art?
So there's a few things we wanted to cover before we get into the program. First of all, we'd like to acknowledge this evening's title sponsor, Connolly Law Offices. Great supporters of many wonderful causes in the community. Our gold sponsors include Quorum for Kids Foundation, Mary Bridge Children's Hospital and Health Network, Domino's, Columbia Bank, the News Tribune, and of course, a big thank you to our silver, bronze, and platinum sponsors whose support is equally appreciated. And to all our sponsors, we are indebted to you for your financial commitment that has enabled this event to become a reality. Thank you all. Finally, to our host organizations, the Tacoma Athletic Commission, which is still going strong now in its 79th year, and the Shanaman Sports Museum of Tacoma-Pierce County. Many of you here tonight may not realize it was the TAC that raised the funds and spearheaded the public relations campaign that led to the successful passage of the bond issue to build the Tacoma Dome. Some of you here, it looks like, are old enough to remember the King Dome. You may remember that the unofficial motto of that building was, "The building to last 1,000 years." They missed it by 976 years. The Tacoma Dome lives on. The theme was a dome of their own, the dome of our own, and it worked out well over the years. In 1994, the TAC opened up the Sports Museum to celebrate the community's sports heritage, and in 1905 created an incredible book, Playgrounds to the Pros, an illustrated history of sports in Tacoma-Pierce County, and the man behind that was the inimitable Mark Blau. For years, the TAC has been recognizing student athletes, but as a result of the generous support and commitment from the Names family and Columbia Bank, they've been able to take that program to the next level with the Tom Names Salute to Sports, held annually that culminates the school year with the awarding of $45,000 worth of scholarships. That funding is provided by the Tom and Meg Names Foundation, the Names Family Foundation, Paula Names Larkin, and Diane Names. Many of the Names family are here tonight, and we thank you for your continued and generous support. As for the Sports Museum, it was located in the Tacoma Dome for 24 years before being asked to vacate to accommodate some revenue upgrades. The entire collection currently resides in 3 secure temperature-controlled storage units, but fortunately, the site is fully accessible by its website. In the meantime, the museum's board of directors have been searching for a state-of-the-art facility to display a multitude of memorabilia that many of you have contributed. If you haven't visited the museum website in a while, please do so, because you will enjoy listening to old radio and TV broadcasts by many of our outstanding sports broadcasters on the Clay Huntington Broadcast Center. You can browse through the pages of over 1,300 sports programs in the old school program section. You can look through the scrapbooks from the local sports icons such as boxer Freddie Steele, distance runner Doris Brown Heritage, the Marvelous Marvs, Tom Mervick and Harshman, and you can enjoy interviews with Doug MacArthur, Dick Hanula, boxer Leo Randolph, and major league players such as Wes Stock, Steve Whitaker, and Doug Sisk, and many more to come with the Locker Room Chat feature.
And as Art talked about the museum, it occurs to me, you know, as our media landscape has changed and as newspapers and broadcast really dramatically changes, museums like the Shanaman, they're so important to keep the stories alive of the colorful history and past of sports. History is such a huge part of sports, and having a building that keeps that alive is very important. Now let's talk about photos for a second. For those of you that might be interested in purchasing photos from this evening's presentations, on page 12 and 48 you can find contact information for the two photographers. Check out their websites in about 2 weeks, maybe sooner, and you can view all the photos taken and purchase them directly from the photographers. So again, supporting people who are doing work here tonight for us. And if you need the Wi-Fi password, maybe to download your new copy of Fear No Man, you can look on page 6 of the program. We have an incredible list of awards and recipients tonight, and we want to keep the program moving and at the same time honor all of the award winners. So our award recipients, as they're being introduced, you'll find little biographies about all of them in the program. You're welcome to follow along there. We'll be giving information as well as the winners come up here and cross the stage. So we want you to not only acknowledge the winners, but know the great stories. And for many of you, these are your friends and your neighbors and people you've known for a while, so you probably do know their stories. We'll get started with our Distinguished Achievement Award recipients. And in the leadoff spot, we'll begin with the Connolly Law Office's Excellence in Officiating Awards. So important right now. I think you've seen in stories, again in the media, it's hard to find good officials right now. It's hard to find people who want to do it. It's a constant challenge to get people involved in officiating. The people we'll honor here are people who have dedicated their lives to it, and it can be a tough, hard, and at times thankless job. We thank all of them. This is the 11th year that Jack Connolly and his office have sponsored the award. His commitment to honoring officials is tremendous, but Jack, a former swimmer and water polo coach, was also equally gracious to have his firm be the title sponsor of the Tribute to Champions. So a round of applause, please, for Jack Connolly as we have him come up to say a few words about the Excellence in Officiating Award. Jack?
On the inside front cover of the program, our marketing person, Emmy Lyle, put on the quote from Newt Rockney, "Win or lose, do it fairly." And what we want to do tonight is honor the people that make the games fair, that level the playing field. And there are people that don't often get a lot of recognition. So we'd started 11 years ago giving these awards to the referees and umpires and officials that make the games go. And we felt it was important, one, to recognize people for the time that they put in to these sports, to recognize outstanding performance by these officials, and to say thank you, above all, for the time and the effort that they put in. They say with regard to the time that the most important thing that people can give is their love and their time. And it's amazing when you look at these officials and referees and umpires, the amount of hours that they spend contributing to the sport, often for little or no remuneration, but just because of love of the sport. With outstanding performance, it's one of the few jobs that you're only really recognized when you make a mistake. Doug Harvey, the American League umpire, said, "When an ump is right, no one notices. When an ump is wrong, nobody forgets." Dan Lewis said, "The object of a referee is not to get mentioned, not to be noticed." And Nestor Kayak, who's also an American League umpire, said that an umpire is expected to be perfect on opening day and then to get better throughout the season. Leo DeRocher once said that I never questioned the integrity of an umpire, only his eyesight. I thought during the recent Olympics it was impressive watching the officials, as they were the top officials in the world. And I was watching one soccer game in particular where the one team couldn't speak to the other team. They had different languages, and the officials had, yet again, a completely different language. But they were the ones that gave the structure to the game. And as I mentioned, leveled that playing field and made it the fair game, made it so we can had that game. So what we want to do with these awards is say a huge thank you to people that have contributed a lot of time and effort and done an outstanding job as officials. So that's the purpose of this award, and we have some very talented and outstanding recipients. And here they are. So let's give them a hand.
Thank you, Jack. Let's meet this year's recipients of Excellence in Officiating Award, and please hold your applause until all are introduced, or applaud like crazy. Who am I to tell you what to do? That's not my job. Here we go. Number one, Art.
Jim Jezak has been umpiring for baseball for the past 23 years, most recently with the Pierce County Umpires Association, but also volunteers considerable time with the Summit Parkland Youth Association as a way to give back to the kids in the Franklin-Pierce School District. He can't be here today. Mike?
Larry Berg officiated basketball from 1977 through the 2016 season when he retired after working his final game, which was the 2016 Boys 4A State Championship game. That's going out on top. He worked 7 state high school tournaments in his career, as well as at the community college, NAIA, NCAA D2 and D3 levels. After a brief try at football, he returned to basketball because he noted it doesn't rain in the gym.
Ricky Underwood, girls basketball. Ricky has refereed basketball for the past 30 years. He joined the Tacoma board in 1993 and has been officiating local girls high school basketball and college basketball ever since. An Army veteran, Ricky has officiated around the world and has refereed numerous state tournament contests as well.
Ricky. Tyler Olson in football. Tyler began his officiating football in 2008 and has worked multiple high school and NCAA Division II playoff contests. He has organized volunteer officials to referee summer passing camps at the University of Washington for the past 3 years. 2 years ago, he created a podcast that is intended to promote education and support football officiating. That's what I was talking about earlier, perpetuating more officials. Their audience has grown to over 1,600 listeners per week throughout the U.S. Discussions are held on rules, mechanics, philosophy, and fitness. Tyler Olson.
Randy Sears and Amy Wirtz, softball. Randy Sears spent over 25 years umpiring softball and worked 11 district and 4 state championships tournaments. He also spent the last 8 years on the board for Western Washington Umpires Association. Randy passed away in April of 2020, so accepting the honor on behalf of Randy is his wife, Janet. An accomplished multi-sport athlete in high school and college, Amy Wirtz has been a girls basketball official and softball umpire in the Tacoma area for the past 17 years, regularly working local high school leagues and tournaments. Her dedication has been rewarded by working several state high school softball championship tournaments in her career.
Congratulations, Amy. My friend Ray Moffitt Jr., soccer. Ray started refereeing soccer in the 90s at the high school level and worked the 4A Boys High School Championship contest in 2010 and the 3A Girls title game in 2008. In 2014, he worked the NCAA Division III Men's National Championship. In addition to officiating several local high school tournaments, Ray also worked for the Tacoma-Pierce County Junior Soccer Club for 19 years. And tonight in the parking lot, he'll explain to any of you how the offside rule works, because that's what he likes to do. Ray Moffitt Jr.
Joanne Flum. Joanne Flum started out as a middle school track and field coach, but she was recruited and trained on the spot at a meet in 1987 that was short on officials. She's been working both local and junior high and high school cross-country and track events ever since, and has added the University of Washington meets to her repertoire.
Next up, Dave Dembski of volleyball, a 25-year member of the local volleyball officials organization. Dave Dembski has officiated top 4A matches in the area, along with NCAA, D2, D3, NAIA, and community college matches. He's earned 6 state high school tournament assignments over the years. He was also an active U.S. referee for club volleyball in Washington and promoted numerous summer grass tournaments before beach volleyball took over. Dave Dembski.
Daryl Spivey Jr. Wrestling. Daryl Spivey is passionate about officiating wrestling as his 40 years on the mat will attest. He served as a board member for the Western Washington Wrestling Association, earned their Most Improved Official honor 3 times, and was selected to work at the 2018-19 State High School Tournament. Daryl Spivey.
Keep it going for all of our winners tonight in the officials category. Thank you so much for the hard work you do. As Jack said, you're only noticed when you're not noticed, or something like that. He said it more eloquently than me. We would like all of the Hall of Fame honorees in the following categories to please report to the staging area in the back corner. Administrators, coaches, officials, trainers, and those individuals being honored for their accomplishments in baseball, boxing, and basketball, including the Plywood Tacoma team, legendary Plywood Tacoma AAU team. If you'd all gather in the back corner, please, and begin the staging process for our next series of awards.
Now up next is the First Family of Sports Award, which recognizes the contributions of parents, foster parents, or guardians who instill and help maintain the athlete's successes. On the stage to assist presenting this award is Aiden Cornell, the daughter of Clint and Diane Names. The Names family won the award in 2007, and take out a moment to check out the list of winners on page 14 for the past 15 years, as you can see on how talented they were in their fields and courts.
So tonight we honor and recognize the Heinrich family. Coach, Irene, Jack, Patricia, Margaret, Dennis, and Kathleen. Now, this is the 15th year we've been honoring a first family of sports, or at least that's what we thought when we first began the process. But a surprising revelation discovered thanks to, appropriately, a photo in the pages of the News Tribune. Still getting it done down here in Tacoma. They found a photo in the sports section of the Tribune from January 21st, 1972, in which the Heinrichs were announced as the first family of sports in what was described at the time as the newest category as part of the annual Tacoma-Pierce County Sports Hall of Fame banquet. So to prove it, I think they've got the article maybe on the screen up there. It's one of the plaques received that evening. The Heinrich family, we apologize for the oversight. We thought we were honoring you for the first time tonight. As it turns out, we're honoring you for the second time for the same award. And it just goes to show you how smart the TAC was to think of honoring families in the first place. This is actually tonight the 50th anniversary of when the Heinrich family was first honored.
Note that there was no reference to Coach Heinrich by his first name, as I'm pretty sure every one of his former players in the crowd, such as Joe Stortini, his quarterback at the College of Puget Sound, would agree that it was always Coach and never John, even after retirement. If we rattled off the many accomplishments, we'd be here all night. So I would encourage you to read about them in your program, but here's a quick summary. Coach John, a 3-sport standout in high school and college, and a coach at those levels for 5 decades. He won 9 City League football titles, 2 state titles while coaching at his alma mater stadium. He was an educator, an athletic director, and a college football official.
And the first son of John and Irene was Jack, who was a football standout at Stadium High, was a football and basketball official, but is best known for coaching Stadium to the 1959 Boys State High School basketball crown, with guard Charlie Williams leading the way. If there are any members of the '59 state championship here this evening to pay tribute to their coach, could you stand to be recognized? Do we have any of the state champs here from '59? Anyone make it? I'd talk about it, but I was still a year away from arriving. Congratulations to the '59 state championship team from Stadium High.
Patricia was a diving champion at Stadium, but Maggie may have been the best athlete in the bunch as one of the premier fast pitch players in the area in the 50s, as well as a bowler, a basketball player, a field hockey player at the College of Puget Sound, and a college basketball official and softball umpire.
Dennis started out his athletic career as a ball boy for the Tacoma Mountaineers, Tacoma's only pro basketball team. He played football at Stadium and CPS, and then coached boys and girls basketball at Blaine High School.
And last but not least, the best dancer in the household and the youngest of 5 children is Kathleen Coleman, here to represent her parents and siblings, and she is accompanied by husband Dennis and son Brian. Brian, how about a few words on behalf of your mom and the entire Heinrich family? I'm sure you will point them out.
Good evening, everybody. Happy to be here, especially with my mother, Kathleen. She's the only surviving Heinrich sibling. So even with a stroke, cancer, dementia, she's up here. Just unbelievable how much she's loved her family and how much it's meant to all of us. But also with us tonight, my son and daughter, Abe and Iris, my sister Angie, and my father Dennis. But really on behalf of the whole Heinrich family, I wanted to thank Mark. I don't think we can thank him enough. Again, I got a lot of those emails and I sent a lot of them and I didn't read a lot, Mark, so sorry. The other thing too, obviously the Tacoma Athletic Center, just for this award. It's amazing again to continue to get remembered and recognized. Obviously, the Heinrich family has won so many awards, but I think the one big thing from my perspective, I'm the youngest cousin of 14 Heinrichs. So I didn't get to see Grandpa obviously on the field or on the sidelines or the uncles and aunts, but literally you felt it, you know, being from Gig Harbor and Pierce County in sports, having conversations, everybody knew the Heinrich family. And it was special, right? You could just feel that energy that Grandpa brought and the whole family brought. So with that, I think the incredible thing is the Heinrichs were not only athletes, but most notably, they were coaches and teachers. So I think the true legacy is really that positive impact they've made to the community and countless student athletes across Tacoma, Pierce County, and the Northwest. So again, I asked my mom yesterday, I said, what's the one thing that you remember about your family and really the legacy of the Heinrich family? And she just said, we won all the time. So she's never going to forget that. That's the only metric that counts. So I don't want to go into every family member. I just definitely want to thank a lot of the cousins as well that gave some of this information. Obviously, Grandpa John, or the grandkids called him Papa John, the legend, right? That's the way I've always looked at him. But 51-year coaching career. I think he's won every award out there, from officiating, coaching, you name it. I think probably the most notable, the NAIA College Hall of Fame. But again, his wife Irene as well. They met actually in 1920s at the Central Normal College, and she was a dancer, obviously a huge part of the family. Uncle Jack, coaching at Stadium, TCC. I think he was probably the one person that didn't want the accolades, but we talked about the '59 Stadium Championship. My Aunt Pat was the diver of the group and swimmer of the group. My Aunt Maggie, I think she was always known as the best athlete of the family. I think she started at softball. I thought it was 14. I learned it was 12. Just unbelievable athlete. Again, my Uncle Dennis, again, a UPS football player, Army football player, and then finished his career actually under Grandpa Heinrich. And then, again, my mother as well. She was the fastest, always the fastest. Played on a lot of Maggie's teams, softball teams, bowling teams, and she's still fast enough for me. So, again, thank you, everybody. We really appreciate the word. Have a great night.
Ladies and gentlemen, join me again in congratulating the First Family of Sports for 1972 and 2020, the Heinrich family. I love this award. What a great idea to honor a family that's so dedicated to sports. Thanks again to them, and congratulations on now a two-time winner.
Next up is the Frosty Westering Excellent in Coaching Award, which is given in honor of one of the greatest friends of athletics and student athletes in the history of our community. I can testify myself of having been in Frosty's presence, and somebody said, "Go ahead, Art, I'll give you $1,000 if you can get a cynical word out of Frosty Westering." So he wasn't using them, and I've been using them in my career ever since. Anyone who's ever met Frosty has received personal, lifelong inspiration for how best to live one's life as we search for ways to acknowledge and cherish our love of achievement, teamwork, and principled competition. The award recognizes a coach whose traits and coaching style are emblematic of Frosty's approach and devotion to his players. Paul Hoseth, the defensive coordinator for 24 years at PLU with Frosty, was scheduled to be here this evening and unfortunately was unable to attend. Substituting for Paul is a Hall of Famer himself, Jay Strickers. A past TAC president, Jay was a highly respected football official for 35 years in the Pac-12, including 18 bowl games and the first BCS national title game in 1999. Welcome, Jay.
It's very exciting to be associated with anything that has Frosty's name on it. Coach Westering was, as Art said, I didn't play for him. I just knew him as a media guy, but he was a force of nature. Our first recipient of the Frosty Westering Excellence in Coaching Award is Don Gustafson, coach of the girls golf team at Life Christian Academy. Don is a guy, a coach who wholeheartedly loves kids, loves being around them, loves youthful enthusiasm, but also, it says here, takes pride in offering them the perspective of a wise old owl. Wise old owl, those are good to have. When he speaks tonight, you'll realize he has endless energy. It's hard to not enjoy his coaching style. Gus started coaching baseball and basketball at Life Christian Academy in the mid-90s. In 2002, they needed a golf team. They needed a golf team coach, and that's when he stepped in after two freshman golfers asked him to coach a varsity boys team. That team placed at the state tournament. The next year, with current PGA Tour player Andrew Putnam on the team, the Eagles won their first of 3 state titles. In 2008, it was the girls' turn to enlist Don's help to start a team. Led by Christian Rue, who won 3 individual state titles in 4 years. The Eagles won 4 state championships, meant 8 titles in 9 years. Now in his 18th season as a golf coach at LCA, Gus's infectious, upbeat personality and positivity continues to energize his players, much like the man the award is named after, Frosty Westering. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulate Don Gustafson. Don.
Well, first I want to thank the Tacoma Athletic Commission committee that voted me on for this award. To be awarded an award for Frosty Westering is quite an honor. He was a role model of mine. I also want to thank Life Christian Academy, where I've been a volunteer for 26 years. They gave me the opportunity to be a coach. A couple young men came to me and asked to coach a golf team in 2002, and somehow I accepted, and I'm still coaching that crazy game. But I want to just thank God for the opportunity to be at a school like Life Christian Academy. I want to thank for this wonderful award, and I'll honor it for the rest of my life. Thank you so much.
Our second recipient is Joe Waters, the boys soccer coach at Bellarmine Prep. In the 27 years that Joe Waters has been coaching the Bellarmine boys soccer team, they have amassed 25 league titles, attended 19 state tournaments, won 2 state crowns, were even named the national champions by the National Soccer Coaches Association in 2004. During the same time, he has also garnered Coach of the Year recognition at every level of competition. Many of you probably remember Joe's hard-nosed play for the Tacoma Stars in the middle 80s. But rather than return to his home in Ireland, he has become one of our adopted sons. Besides coaching the Tacoma Stars, he has also spent 4 years as the coach of the PLU men's team and also coached the Gig Harbor High School girls team. And since 2003, he's done double duty at Bellarmine, coaching both boys and girls. It's in his blood, and the community is richer for having his friendly fire on the pitch year-round. Joe Waters.
You know, I love it when the mic is at this height. I don't have to move it and mess with it. It's great. You know, when I came to this community in 1984, I had no idea what it was going to bring to me or do for me. I thought it was going to be a very, very short period of time that I was going to be here. And here I am nearly 40 years later with all of you in this place celebrating this great award that's dedicated to a person that I worked with and was a colleague at PLU when I was a soccer coach at PLU. So I'm doubly pleased to receive this because I know what Frosty was and what he meant to the community back then. So it really is an honor. But for those of us that are involved in any sport at any level, we always know that there's way more people than you. You're just the focal point of it. There are way more people behind the scenes that actually do the real work. And this award is for all of those people. For every player that lent their talents to the Bellarmine Prep soccer program and lent their efforts to that to make it what it has been, I thank you all for doing that. We know the ones that sometimes don't get the recognition but do the work every day to make everybody else better and to make us successful. To all the coaches that you work with that spend the hours with you, lifting you up when you're down after you've lost, disagreeing with you vehemently about some of your thoughts when they want you to see it their way, and that's what they're supposed to do. To the administration at Bellarmine Prep, for the support that they have given me. You know, this job when I started off was supposed to be for 1 year. A friend of mine came to me and he said, "Hey, you want to coach a Bellarmine Prep soccer team?" He said, "But it's only for a year. I'm coming back next year, and I'm going to take back over." 29 years later, he still hasn't come back. I'm glad that he didn't, because I wouldn't have missed this journey for anything in the world. So thanks to everybody. Thanks to the TAC for putting this event on. They do a fantastic job honoring the athletes that have represented schools and clubs in Tacoma, and we are forever grateful to you for doing that. Thank you very much.
Joe Waters, ladies and gentlemen. Right, the Doug MacArthur Lifetime Achievement Award recognizes an individual who captures the true passion for athletics, just as Doug has personified throughout his life. For those of you who knew Doug, or rather know Doug, he has served our community for over 60 years as an athlete, a coach, an athletic supervisor, a promoter, a poet, an author, a broadcaster, and sports writer. Don't hold those last two against him. And continues to be an advocate for sports, and more sports in the community, which is why this award is so appropriately named after him. Let's sit back and enjoy a message from Doug MacArthur on the video screens.
Hi, I'm Doug MacArthur, and I'm honored to present a TAC award in my name. It's the TAC Lifetime Achievement Award, and it goes to someone who demonstrates their love of sports over and over again, year after year. I've had a lifetime of sports, and I truly appreciate it when I see others who are recognized for their love of the games. Sports have always been a big part of my life. I played, I coached, I umpired. Best of all, every job I ever had something to do with sports. My first was that as sports director of KTAC Radio, and it was sports morning, noon, and night. Then I became supervisor of athletics for Metro Parks and Tacoma schools. After that, director of athletics at UPS for 13 years and 13 more with the Tacoma Athletic Commission. You probably have guessed by now, but sports have been very good to me, and I'm grateful and appreciative. My lifetime has been a ball. I hope this achievement award inspires someone else to be involved for a lifetime of their own in sports, and more sports.
Since still up there hanging around, we're going to put him to work. Jay, go ahead and introduce our two recipients.
Thank you, Gas. Well, I think everybody here one time or another has probably said hi and had a great conversation with Doug MacArthur, and you haven't, you've really missed a real treat. And for me to be here pinch hitting for Doug is a heavy chore. We just love him with all of our heart. We'll always keep Doug and Big R in our thoughts, and they'll always be with us. But I'm here to give out awards in his names to two people tonight. And first up, for the Doug MacArthur Meritorious Lifetime Achievement Award is Brian Kamens. Let's give Brian a hand. You may not know it, but Brian is the man behind the scenes where he has been sequestered in the northwest room of the Tacoma Public Library for 35 years, doing what he loves, which is preserving our local history and helping others researching answers to a myriad of inquiries. We should probably rename this the Inspector Clouseau Award because his sleuthing abilities are both incredible and indelible. Brian has been asked regularly to track down former athletes, which awfully meant searching obituaries, tracing a family tree and talking to a relative of a relative of a relative, and on, as you can imagine. He provided us with biographical profiles and photos, and then helped us identify those people in photos. He had a fabulous cadre of people assisting him, helping him, and we know that he would think they all should be sharing this award with him. But Brian was the catalyst. We in the Tacoma Athletic Commission and the Shanaman Sports Museum, we are indebted to the countless hours that Brian has spent in numerous projects, the Tom Name Salute to Sports events, Touchdown Time, Tacoma-Pierce County Sports Hall of Fame, the Baseball Softball Old Timers Hall of Fame, State of Washington Sports Hall of Fame, and the publication of Playground to the Pros, which we know is an illustrated history of sports in our Tacoma-Pierce County community. And somehow, Brian even found time, along with Blaine Johnson, to write his own book, Showtime in Tacoma. Brian has always gone the extra mile to get us information needed. And the result is that we have all been enriched, and we are honored individuals that he has properly identified and promoted people on our websites. And he has done this in a manner that will be held in perpetuity, because all of these things on our websites, it's going to be there for decades and decades and centuries. So Brian, thank you for your commitment and dedication in helping us preserve our sports heritage here in Tacoma-Pierce County. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause and congratulations to Brian Kamens.
I'm greatly honored, I'm humbled, and all I can say is I love this town.
Thank you, Brian, and congratulations again. Well, now it's equally my pleasure to say a few words about a colleague of mine, and I think of all of us. Got to know this gentleman both on and off the football field over many, many years, and we're going to honor Mr. Aaron Pointer. Aaron, come on out. Let's give Aaron a hand. If you read our Tacoma News Tribune or our News Tribune this past week, you got a really good rundown on Aaron. I'm going to highlight a few of his accomplishments. He served as a recreation supervisor for Pierce County Parks and Rec for 29 years. Spent 18 years on the park board, Metro Parks here in Tacoma. He's umpired baseball at all levels. And I think we all know that he's officiated football with the little kids on Saturday. And then it went to high school, Pac-8 conference, Pac-10 conference, and eventually spending 16 years in the National Football League as a head linesman. So here's a quick checklist, and not complete by any means, of Aaron's accomplishments. He played for the Houston Colt 45 Major League Baseball team. Now, this was a precursor to the Houston Astros. Check that box. He played for the Tacoma Cubs in 1969 when our team was PCL champs. Check that box. He is the last living member of professional baseball to hit for 400, over 400 in a season. Check that box. He played on an all-rookie, got to think, all-rookie lineup, the first one ever to start in Major League Baseball. Check that box for Aaron. And as I know, and all of our officials out here know, Aaron was also the first African-American to be a white hat referee in the Pac-10 conference. Now, we all know that he is a brother of the Pointer sisters, and oftentimes we call Aaron the Pointer brother, but wonderful. And probably most of all, Aaron's been married to 58 years to his lovely and gracious wife, Leona. And they have 3 children, 10 grandchildren. Aaron just told me 4 great-grandchildren and more on the way. And that's the biggest check of them all for Aaron and Leona. So please join me in congratulating our own Aaron Pointer for receiving this award in Doug MacArthur's name. Aaron Pointer.
When I think about the time that I spent in the National Football League on the field, it really brings back a lot of memories. Being on the field when my son was with the Indianapolis Colts and caught the first pass in his career in a preseason game in Pittsburgh. Being on the field when my sister sang the national anthem in 1994. These are memories that don't, leave you very often. But this award rivals all of those remembers. And so I would like to thank the Tacoma Athletic Commission, the Shanaman Sports Museum, and the Tribute to Champions for this award. Doug MacArthur was a man, or is a man, that thought about community and how to make the community better. Doug spent his whole life trying to make community here in Tacoma a better place to live. And it's one of the reasons why Metro Parks last year presented Doug with an award naming a ball field after him, Basalt Baseball Field, the Doug MacArthur Baseball Field. And so it is my honor to accept this award in Doug's name. And thank you, Doug, for what you've done and all you do to make Tacoma a better place for everyone to live. Thank you very much.
Aaron Pointer, how about that? You know, you could give him an award for being married 58 years and having the Pointer sisters as actual sisters. That had been enough. Then he goes out and does all that other stuff. Wow, what a life lived. Okay, we would like, and this is an award coming up in just a few minutes. I'll talk slow because sometimes by this time of the night they may need me to talk slow. The News Tribune sports team, please report to the staging area. Your moment in the sun is just minutes away.
The Dick Hanula Award is given to the top male and female amateur athletes in or from Tacoma-Pierce County during the past year. It's one of TAC's oldest awards, first instituted in 1988, and here we are 33 years later, still honoring these great athletes. So be sure to take a look at the list of the past winners on page 28 in the program, as it is indeed an impressive list of recipients. Dick, who will turn 93 on September 19th, is still going strong, but he's definitely a man of few but pertinent words, so he has taped a message for us to listen to.
The Tacoma Athletic Commission instituted the Amateur Athlete of the Year Award in 1987. I'm Dick Hanula and was so honored by TAC to have the award named after me. In recognizing the best amateur athletes of Tacoma-Pierce County, it also is recognizing and encouraging all amateur athletes in our area. Amateur athletes train and compete for the best of reasons, the love of the sport and the love of competition. I coached thousands of athletes in the sport of swimming over my lifetime. These athletes sacrificed a great amount of time and effort to succeed, and that effort was both physical and mental. Sports represent a great arena to test and prepare for life's challenges, the ability to adjust to both the winning and the losing. Success and failures are arguably best learned in athletics. Failure is essential in the learning process, and I believe amateur athletics present the greatest opportunities for these life lessons. Congratulations to all Tacoma-Pierce County athletes, and a special congratulations to this year's winners.
For the 2019-2020 season, the Dick Hanula Amateur Female Athlete of the Year Award goes to Morgan Weaver. A Curtis High and soon-to-be Washington State University grad, Morgan Weaver is a two-time recipient of the award. She won it in 2016 as well. She's an accomplished soccer player for the Vikings and then took it to the next level at Washington State. Her senior year, she led the Cougars with 15 of her team's 44 goals and led them to the NCAA Finals Challenge Cup, where they lost to number 2 North Carolina in the semifinals. Now a member of the U.S. national team and the number 2 overall pick by the Portland Thorns of the National Women's Soccer League. The Stars certainly have aligned for a brilliant future for Morgan. And this Sunday, August 29th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at Lumen Field up in Seattle, Portland takes on the Reign FC. It's a doubleheader. The Sounders and the Timbers will play later. It's the first time they've done something like that, and Morgan will be back in her home area showing off her skills. Here's a brief video message from our winner, Morgan Weaver.
Hi, Morgan Weaver here, and I am very honored to have won the Dick Hanula Amateur Athlete of the Year Award. I can't even put into words how I feel about it. I'm very thankful. I couldn't have done it with my friends and family that have supported me along the way. Also, thank you to everyone that has put on this amazing event. I wish I could be there tonight. Obviously, with COVID and everything, season's still going on, I had to stay in Portland. But thank you so much to everyone, and I wish everyone the best of luck, and thank you again.
And accepting the award tonight on behalf of his high school coach is Jeff Edwards, a 1970 Wilson, now Silas, high school grad who won 3 events at the 1970 state meet and earned high school All-American status that same year. Thank you.
We now turn to the Dick Hanula Amateur Athlete of the Year, and our recipient is Malachi Flynn. In March 2020, Malachi Flynn, a Bellarmine grad, was on the final candidate list for both the John Wooden Award, which honors the best performer in NCAA Division I basketball, and the Basketball Hall of Fame's Bob Cousy Point Guard of the Year Award. Flynn averaged 17.6 points, shot 37% from three-point range, and the San Diego State Aztecs finished 30-2, ranked number 6 in the nation in the final AP poll. Following graduation, Malachi was selected by the Toronto Raptors with the 29th pick in the first round and went on to average 7.5 points per game. Please welcome Malachi Flynn.
Oh man, they didn't prepare me for this, but my mom told me I wasn't gonna have to speak. But not seriously, I thank the Tacoma committee for putting this on. It means a lot. Born and raised in Tacoma, got so much pride for the city, so it means a lot to get this award, and thank you for everybody.
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks, Malachi. Congratulations to both of you. And tonight is all about recognizing individuals, and let's take a quick look at 2 individuals. One is a coach, one is an administrator who have worked tirelessly in the Pacific Northwest, and we wanted to recognize their efforts. Leslie Gallimore, the University of Washington's women's soccer coach, ended her legendary career after 26 years at the helm. She recently retired, 270 wins, 15 NCAA tournament appearances, and the longest tenured head coach in the Pac-12. Leslie, congratulations on an outstanding career, and thanks for being here to honor some former players. And Scott Norty, most recently the athletic director at Lakes High School for 7 years. He retired a year ago. Scott was one of 8 athletic administrators nationwide to be honored by the National Federation of State High School Associations for his work. Prior to Lakes, he served 9 years at Clover Park High School as their AD, and over the years he has served as coaches, athletes, and others through his work on local, state, and national boards. Scott Norty, thank you very much. Leslie and Scott have devoted endless energy and countless hours to their professions. And the TAC wants to say thanks to you both for a job well done, and their orders are for you to go find a sandbox, play in it, and relax a little bit. Congratulations on wonderful careers helping athletes.
And now we move to the State of Washington Sports Hall of Fame presentation. You've heard us mention Clay Huntington's name a number of times this evening, and it's no wonder because when it comes to sports, he has left a lasting impression. A charter member of the TAC in 1942, Tacoma Tigers baseball and Tacoma Rockets hockey broadcaster in the 40s and 50s, the creator of both the state and Tacoma-Pierce County Halls of Fame, and the owner of radio station KLAY, that was committed to airing local high school sports and college games for decades. Well, sit back and enjoy this video highlighting the newest member of the State of Washington Sports Hall of Fame.
When 35-year-old Clay Huntington came up with the idea for the Tacoma-Pierce County Sports Hall of Fame in 1957 and the State of Washington Sports Hall of Fame 3 years later, who would have thought that recognizing individuals for their athletic accomplishments would be the foundation over 60 years later for the Tribute to Champions? Yet here we are in the Tacoma Dome, a house that the Tacoma Athletic Commission played a key role in becoming a reality, celebrating so many aspects of our community's sports history. So let's relive some memorable moments of this year's Hall of Fame class of 2020. Every organization needs effective leadership to provide guidance in helping teams achieve their goals and be successful. And our first four honorees have done so with class and dignity as administrators in their chosen field. And several were crazy enough to coach as well. Go figure. Robin Hamilton's 32 years at the University of Puget Sound included 22 as the head softball coach, while racking up 455 wins and leading the Loggers to 2 national championships. Along the way, she found time to serve as the sports media relations director at UPS, and for the last 16 years of her career as the assistant AD. Hamilton also worked for the Atlanta and Sydney, Australia Olympic Committees, 3 NCAA Division I women's and 2 men's Final Four championships. She didn't just practically live in the fieldhouse, she did live in the fieldhouse. A Lakes High School grad who won the 1981 State Amateur Golf Championship and twice won the Tacoma City Amateur, John Bodenhammer helped the BYU Cougars win the 1981 NCAA Team Championship and became the Cougars team captain as a senior. He then oversaw the Pacific Northwest Golf Association and subsequently the Pacific Coast Golf Championships. Currently the Senior Managing Director of Championships for the United States Golf Association, Bodenhammer oversees the USGA's 4 Open Championships, its dozen Amateur Championships, and he has been an official for 10 U.S. Opens, 9 Masters tournaments, and 8 British Opens. To get a good night's sleep, John counts golf balls, not sheep. Frank Colarusso spent 9 seasons with the Tacoma Tigers Baseball Club as Director of Marketing, Assistant General Manager, and finally as General Manager from 1992 through 94. Twice Frank earned the Larry McPhail Promotional Award in the Pacific Coast League. Among the unique promotions he helped create, the first Turn Back the Clock promotion when the Tigers wore authentic uniforms from the 1904 Tacoma Tigers, and baseball card shows with major leaguers as autograph guests. Another memorable promo was the Uncle Stan Wants You at Cheney for July 3rd, which made national headlines in the sporting news. Colarusso also served as general manager and vice president of marketing for the Tacoma SaberCats hockey team. He won Marketing Executive of the Year in both the PCL and the West Coast Hockey League in his career, and received the Dill Howell Award presented by the Tacoma-Pierce County Baseball Softball Old Timers Association. A member of the Tacoma Sports Commission that helped raise funds to help keep the high school football championship here in the Tacoma Dome, to serving as president of the Furcrest Golf Club, Frank's affable personality has endeared him to many in the athletic and philanthropic worlds, and rightly so.
On the road again, just can't wait to get on the road again.
On the Road Again would be a good theme song for Carl Benson, whose travels have taken him all over the country. Following 2 seasons playing baseball at Boise State and another 2 coaching there, Carl then migrated to Lakewood, where he coached baseball at Fort Steilacoom Community College for 6 years and was the school's first full-time athletic director as well. He then joined the NCAA staff, where he was subsequently promoted to Director of Championships in 1998, supervising 8 assistant directors in their administration of 68 NCAA championships. During his career, Benson also served as commissioner of the Mid-American, Western Athletic, and Sun Belt conferences, and spent 5 years on the NCAA Men's Basketball Committee as well. Career highlights? Pretty easy. Being on the sideline of the 2007 Fiesta Bowl as the WAC commish, and Boise State alum when the Broncos beat Oklahoma on the famous Statue of Liberty play. And as the Seattle Mariners batting practice pitcher for 6 seasons. In fact, he threw BP to Gaylord Perry on the night he won his 300th game.
Good. He's got it. It's over. Gaylord has 300.
If the name Benson sounds familiar, well, he joins longtime PLU tennis coach and his brother Mike in the Hall of Fame. Most of the coaches in this next group are probably very thankful that for the most part they didn't have to put up with the overbearing parents wanting their children to specialize in one sport starting at age 3 or dealing with the insane college recruiting business. No need to feel too sorry for them, though, so let's meet our 2020 Hall of Fame coaches. Rick Barnhart was the mound ace for the University of Puget Sound Loggers in the mid-'70s, where he earned all NORPAC honors and finished with a 41-2 pitching record, which led to being drafted by the Cleveland Indians. Following 3 seasons in the minors, Rick returned to Tacoma, coached baseball and basketball at Fort Steilacoom Community College before doing the same at Bellarmine Prep starting in 1984. He is just wrapping up his 36th year as the Lions head coach and is closing in on his 400th career coaching win. A longtime coach with the Tacoma-Pierce County Japan Sister City Baseball Exchange, Rick also coached the only player in the history of Pierce County to reach the majors after signing as a high school draft pick, John Lester. It can't be easy following in the footsteps of Hall of Fame coach Marv Harshman, but son Dave enjoyed an extensive coaching career following graduation from Washington State, where he earned letters in both basketball and baseball. A road warrior with coaching gigs at Pacific Lutheran, Iowa State, and Nebraska, among others. 2 highlights included assistant coach at Michigan State when Magic Johnson led the team to the NCAA crown in 1979, followed by 3 seasons with the Seattle Supersonics, assisting coach Lenny Wilkins. An honorable mention McDonald's All-American at Puyallup High School, Jerry Williams took his game to the University of Puget Sound, where he led the Loggers in scoring 3 of his 4 seasons and finished with over 1,000 points in his career. He must have paid attention to Hall of Fame coach Don Zeck as he spent 19 years at Cascade Christian School, where his girls' teams made 2 trips to state, and his boys' teams went 12 out of 17 years, picking up 2 state championships and 299 wins before retiring. During Don Clegg's 29 years as head football coach at Wilson High School, the Rams made the state playoff quarterfinals 4 times, divisional playoffs 6 times, and were the 4A state runners-up in 1998. A member of the Washington State Coaches Hall of Fame, 32 of Clegg's players enjoyed collegiate careers, and 5 went on to play in the NFL, including the Trufant brothers, Marcus, Isaiah, and Desmond, as well as Larry Stevens and Xavier Cooper. As Don so aptly put it, the unwavering support of my daughter Karen and my departed wife Debbie allowed and gave me the opportunity to live a dream. I hope that I made some small impact on someone's life, just as the other fine coaches I have met who've helped me through the years have done for me. A Lincoln High grad, where he was the #1 golfer on the school team, John Rudy started caddying at the Fircrest Golf Club and Tacoma Country and Golf Club, and in 1941 he opened the Tacoma Golf Range with noted pro Charles Congdon. Rudy was the head pro at Fircrest for 50 years and hosted the Pro Tours Carling Open and National Association of Left-Handed Tournaments in 1960. John competed in the 1946 PGA Championship, 2 Hudson Cups, and numerous Pro Tour events. But perhaps the biggest accolade came from legendary Ken Still, who said of him, "He's a very big influence on my career. He's the one who started the fire. He was a professional's professional." High praise and well-deserved. Following 4 years on the men's gymnastics team at Washington State University, Brad Lone started his coaching career with the Puget Sound School of Gymnastics and spent almost 40 years as the school's owner and head coach. Lone has coached 7 national all-around champions in Junior Olympics, international elite levels, and the NCAA. And 5 of his students are already in the Tacoma-Pierce County Sports Hall of Fame, including Yumi Modre, a Pan American Games champion, and Ani Willis-Rogers, who led UCLA to 3 national team championships. Brad's coaching accomplishments led to his induction into the Washington State Gymnastics Hall of Fame, and we're pleased to add him to our long list of outstanding coaches. A member of the highly regarded FC Royal Soccer Club in Pierce County, Tara Belansky enjoyed a sterling career at Puyallup High School and as a 4-year starter at the University of Washington, where she was a 3-time Women's Soccer Player of the Year and led the Huskies to their initial 2 NCAA tournament berths. It's no surprise that she's considered one of the all-time Husky greats. After playing in Germany and for the Seattle Sounders women's select team, she turned to coaching, assisting at the UW as a head coach at Portland State and then 8 seasons as head coach at the University of Oregon, where she is the all-time leader in coaching victories. This Bellarmine grad could be considered a pioneer in women's soccer, as she played on the University of Washington's club team before it became a recognized varsity sport. A member of the women's national team in the second year of their existence, Gretchen Gegg-Zagante was also on the roster for the first ever women's national team victory. Gretchen transferred to the University of North Carolina, where the Tar Heels were the NCAA national champions. After playing in the first professional women's league, which was in Japan, Gretchen has been coaching since 1994 with clubs at all levels from collegiate to professional. Brian Van Blomestein had the Midas touch when it came to soccer coaching excellence, with 32 state championships, 4 regional titles, and 2 national crowns to his credit. And over 300 of his players went on to play collegiately. Upon his move from South Africa to the Pacific Northwest, Brian coached the FC Royals, one of the nation's premier soccer clubs, for 27 years. Brian also helped organize the FC United Boys Club and coached them for 4 years as well. His dedication to youth soccer in Pierce County has been nothing short of golden. A Puyallup and UPS grad, Steve Shackett played for and managed the People's Church slow pitch teams for 29 years and led the team to 1,368 wins and 3 world championships. Traveling and playing for the best teams throughout the U.S., this powerhouse team also won 19 state tournaments and over 160 invitational tourneys, which led to his induction into the state and national USSSA Hall of Fame as well. It's all about the team motto instilled in the players and camaraderie fostered over the years, resulted in People's Church, started in 1968 by Steve and Brother Owen, being one of the most feared and respected teams in the country ever. Hang around International Swimming Hall of Fame coach Dick Haniel long enough and you're bound to pick up a few pointers along the way. And that certainly was the case for Chris Meyer, who led his Wilson High School swim team to 2 state crowns and served as head coach of the Tacoma Swim Club. But it was his collegiate coaching career that skyrocketed when he led the University of Puget Sound men's team to 3 consecutive national championships, followed by the women's team winning 3 national titles in 4 years, resulting in an impressive dual meet record of 350 wins, 176 losses, and 1 tie. Vern skates? Vern archery? Vern bicycling? Nope. They don't sound right at all. Just follow the bouncing ball and it will lead you right to Vern Ball. And tennis was his game. Vern was an accomplished player at age 12 and competed successfully through age 75. But he also shared his knowledge of the sport by coaching at Foss High School, Tacoma Community College, for Metro Parks, Tacoma, and as the owner of the Furcrest Tennis Club. Wherever he's landed within the community, he's always given back and had a ball doing it. As a coach and meet organizer, Terry Rice has dedicated himself to coaching track and field athletes and making sure they had opportunities to compete and achieve successes. And he spread his expertise throughout Pierce County, having started the first girls track team at Mount Tom High School in 1974 and subsequently coaching at Foss Stadium in Curtis. Terry has also resurrected several major events, including the Daffodil Relays, later renamed the Viking Relays, and the Tacoma Invitational, which was originally the Lincoln Invitational. His 30-plus years of coaching track and field and cross-country athletes have literally kept him on the run for decades. As an outstanding wrestler under longtime coach George Wilfong at Puyallup High School, Mike Soward cemented his legacy as head coach for 11 years at Orting High School, where his teams won 4 team state championships and placed second 3 times. During that time, 13 of his wrestlers combined to win 28 state crowns, and in 2009, he was named the Class 1A State Coach of the Year. There's no need to grapple for words when talking about Mike's coaching accomplishments. Amazing says it all. Before we high-five these outstanding administrators and coaches for their accomplishments, let's not forget those unsung heroes whose efforts behind the scenes often go unappreciated. Bruce Snell's passion for athletic training was fueled at the University of Washington, where he earned his athletic trainer certification, and it's been a wild ride ever since. He started Northwest Sports Physical Therapy in 1984, and that well-respected and thriving business opened the doors for Bruce to serve as trainer for the Tacoma Stars indoor soccer team. Other soccer stints included working with the men's Olympic team, 2 men's World Cup teams, and the women's World Cup team. Bumps and bruises, twisted ankles, and pulled hammies are all part of the game, but we can thank Bruce Snell for getting local athletes ready for the daily grind. Fair, even-keeled, patient, and diplomatic best described Terry Beckstead, Buddy Horton, and Dan Spriesterbach, who collectively have devoted over 120 years to officiating. A high school and collegiate wrestler, Terry Beckstead has been a member of the Western Washington Wrestling Officials Association for nearly 50 years and has officiated more than 35 state high school tournaments and 40 regional tournaments. Still active mentoring new officials, Terry has racked up numerous awards, including induction into the Washington Officials Association Hall of Fame and the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Following in the footsteps of Jack Johnson, Aaron Pointer, and Kirk Dornan, 1974 Mount Tacoma High School grad Buddy Horton is the 4th individual from Tacoma to referee in the National Football League. Buddy started officiating both football and basketball while attending Grays Harbor Junior College, which led to becoming a Pac-10 referee, where he earned numerous bowl assignments, with his last college game being the first collegiate BCS National Championship. His 20-year NFL career included serving as an alternate field judge at the Super Bowl in 2007. Buddy was also an accomplished NCAA women's basketball official for 13 years and worked 3 NCAA tournaments. Dan Spriesterbach migrated from Southern California to play football for the Huskies in the late 60s, and thanks to a local booster from Tacoma offering him a job in the forest products industry, Dan stuck around and began officiating high school games in 1973. He eventually earned a high school state championship assignment in the Kingdome and began working Pac-10 games in 1981, mostly as a field judge. A few of his bowl highlights included the Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, and the 1990 All-American Bowl, with Brett Favre leading Southern Mississippi. Dan now works as a football observer and was recently inducted into the Pac-12 Football Officials Hall of Fame.
That's a pretty impressive group and a lot of great accomplishments and many lives well lived. Let's bring them up so you can meet them and thank them in person. Now, Sophia Maria Hall was scheduled to present our next group of honorees, the administrators, coaches, officials, and trainers, with their plaques. She was unable to attend this year, so Jay, we're going to put you back to work. It seems like you've got these plaque presentations down anyway, so if you'll come back up here and help us with these, we'll get started with the award winners for the 22 new Hall of Famers.
Robin Hamilton, athletic administrator at the University of Puget Sound and longtime softball coach.
John Bodenhammer, Senior Managing Director of Championships for the United States Golf Association. John?
Frank Colarusso, 9 seasons with the Tacoma Tigers, and the last 2 as General Manager and Vice President of Marketing for the Tacoma SaberCats hockey team.
Carl Benson, a college athletic director, NCAA administrator, and commissioner of multiple conferences for over 25 years. Carl goes way back to his days as Fort Steilacoom Community College's first full-time AD.
Rick Barnhart, baseball coach at Bellarmine Prep, 36 years.
They love you, Coach. Dave Harshman, assistant coach for the Sonics, as well as the '79 Michigan State Spartans, the NCAA champions, also a broadcasting analyst and a terrific guy, Dave Harshman.
Jerry Williams, a McDonald's All-American basketball player at Puyallup High School and a top player at UPS and a successful high school boys and girls coach at Cascade Christian School.
Don Clegg, the head football coach at Wilson High School, 4 state football tournament appearances. Coach?
John Rudy, head golf pro at Furcrest for 50 years and a pro golf tour competitor, Jennifer Lytle, accepting on behalf of her father.
Brad Lone, who coached seven national all-around gymnastics champions in Junior Olympics, international elite levels, and the NCAA for almost 40 years, and a great coaching career.
Tira Bilansky, 4-year starter on the Husky soccer team and a successful college coach, including Portland State and Oregon State.
Gretchen Gegg-Zigante played on the women's national soccer team and for national champion North Carolina, longtime club coach for 25 years.
Brian Van Blomestein coached FC Royals, a premier soccer club in the nation, and for 27 years, and has 32 state and 2 national championships to his credit.
Steve Shackett coached People's Church slow pitch softball team to 3 world championships and over 1,300 victories in 29 years at the helm.
Chris Meyer, University of Puget Sound swim coach with 3 national championships to his credit with both men's and women's team.
Vern Ball played competitive tennis through the age of 75. He was a successful coach at Foss High School, Tacoma Community College, Metro Parks Tacoma, and is the owner of the Fir Crest Tennis Club. Vern Ball.
Terry Rice coached high school track at Mount Tahoma, Foss Stadium, and Curtis for over 30 years, and meet director for the Old Daffodil Relays and Lincoln Invitational.
Mike Sowards, head wrestling coach at Ording High, where his teams won 4 state championships, runners-up 3 times. 28 of his wrestlers over his career were individual state champions.
Bruce Snell served as trainer for the Tacoma Stars indoor soccer team and worked with the men's Olympic soccer team, 2 men's and 1 women's World Cup teams.
We'll pause for a moment, let the photos catch up here. We've got so many honorees. This is quite the class going in. Terry Beckstead officiated wrestling for nearly 50 years, including 35 state high school tournaments. He's a member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Buddy Horton, a Pac-10 referee when he worked his first college BCS national championship. He spent 20 years as a National Football League official.
And finally tonight, Dan Spriesterbach started officiating high school football games in 1973, a Pac-10 and 12 football official for over 30 years, and is a member of the Pac-12 Football Officials Hall of Fame. Dan?
Well, we got another group of awardees. Let's meet the next group as we cover basketball, boxing, and baseball.
In the late 40s and throughout the 50s and 60s, the 3 Busy Bees, Morley, Bernie, and Hal Brotman, were well-known and active supporters of all sports in the community. Well, make way for the Busy Bees of tonight: baseball, boxing, and basketball. And it is indeed an impressive group. A 1962 Clover Park High grad, outfielder Bill Murphy signed with the New York Yankees as a free agent outfielder, and after 1 season in their minor league system, was selected by the New York Mets in the minor league draft. Murph was 21 years old when he broke into the big leagues in 1966, playing 84 games for the Mets at Shea Stadium. The following season found Bill in the California Angels organization, where he played for the Seattle Rainiers of the Pacific Coast League in 1967 and finished his professional career with the Tacoma Cubs in 1970 at age 26. A three-sport athlete at Franklin-Pierce High School, Scott Nielsen spent parts of 3 seasons in the major leagues with the New York Yankees and Chicago White Sox. However, Scott's professional debut was in Class A ball in Bellingham in 1983 as a 6th-round draft pick by the Seattle Mariners. His teammate, Edgar Martinez. His minor league record was 55 wins against 34 losses, and he pitched in the AAA All-Star Game in 1988 while with the Columbus Clippers. At BYU, Nielsen set an NCAA record for consecutive wins with 26. He was a 2-time NCAA All-American and helped lead the Cougars to a #1 national ranking. Scott was inducted into the BYU Athletic Hall of Fame in 1994. 2 boxers left Lake Placid, New York in 1984 with back-to-back U.S. junior boxing titles. One was Mylan Watkins, the other was Mike Tyson. Watkins compiled the most successful amateur boxing career in Tacoma's star-studded history, with a record of 259 wins against just 17 losses, and won the 1985 and 1986 National Golden Gloves light middleweight titles. Mylan won the 1983 World Amateur Junior Welterweight Championship and also participated in the 1984 Olympic trials. Under Lincoln head coach at the time, Tim Kelly, David Adams helped the Abes win Narrows League titles in 1997 and 99, and he was also a 2-time league MVP. As a senior, he was the News Tribune All-Area and 4A State Player of the Year. In 2 seasons at Washington State, David averaged just under 8 points per game and earned Pac-10 All-Academic honors. But a coaching change resulted in David choosing to transfer to Wyoming. A starter his senior year, Adams made 43.9% of his three-pointers and was Wyoming's second leading scorer. As a senior at Bellarmine in 1999, Brendan Merritt was named team MVP after averaging 18 points a game. He made the News Tribune's All-Area team and helped the Lions advance to the state championship. At Tacoma Community College, Merritt led the Titans to 4th and 2nd place finishes at the NWAC Championships and then moved on to Eastern Washington University, where the Eagles advanced to the NIT his junior year. In 2004, he earned MVP honors in the Big Sky Conference Tournament, thus qualifying the Eagles for their first ever NCAA tournament appearance. Brendan's playing days ended in 2007 after playing professionally in Sweden and Switzerland for 4 years. Hall of Fame coach Jim Black recognized talent, especially tall talent. And when he saw the 6'5" Tatum Brown Morris roaming the school campus, he was not going to let her get away. Smart move, because all Tatum did was help lead the Falcons into the semifinals of the Class 3A state tournament both of her years at Foss. The next stop was a junior college national championship at Central Arizona Community College, followed by 2 seasons at the University of Arizona. Tatum was accorded first-team All-Pac-10 honors her senior year as the Wildcats' leading scorer and rebounder. She went on to play professionally for 12 years in France, Turkey, Korea, Spain, Israel, Poland, and Germany. Taking advantage of her talent and Title IX, Marianne Stoican Odell was a 3-sport standout at Peninsula High School, earning 11 total letters in basketball, volleyball, and track and field. A 1979 grad, Odell led the Seahawks to a perfect 27-0 record and a state basketball championship crown, and she never lost a league meet in track, and she won the district high jump title 3 consecutive years. Marianne continued her basketball career at Oregon, where she helped the Ducks win 3 consecutive NORPAC titles before returning home, where she was the head girls basketball coach at Peninsula for 10 seasons. As a co-head coach at Bellarmine, the Lions competed at state all 3 years. A year ago, Marianne was appropriately honored with the retiring of her number 32 at Peninsula High. A 3-time All-Narrows League selection at Mount Tahoma in basketball, upon graduation in 1981, Kate Rue received a full-ride scholarship to the University of Washington during the early Title IX era. Rue captained the 1984-85 team that went 26-2 and made the NCAA tournament. She played professionally in Switzerland, Denmark, and England, and in 1991 her Danish professional team went 40-6 and won the league title on a Rue 3-point buzzer beater. Upon returning home, Kate served as assistant coach at Whitworth, Idaho, and UPS, maintained her overseas connections as an international coach and clinician, and has coached the girls' basketball team at Charles Wright Academy since 2011. For the past 8 years, Kate has run a Girls Got Game basketball camp in Denmark and leads overseas basketball tours for the Basketball Travelers organization. From 1969 through 1974, Plywood Tacoma was a power on the National Amateur Basketball stage, winning 2 championships and twice placing second and third during 6 consecutive appearances in the National Amateur Basketball Association tournament. A team was established in 1968 as a way to give former collegiate players, many of whom have become high school and college coaches, the opportunity to keep playing. That 68-69 Plywood Tacoma team finished the regular season with a 22-1 record and a trip to nationals where they lost 74-73. In 1971, the team won the first of its 2 NABA championships, led by guard George Grant, who was named the tournament's most valuable player. Guards Clint Names and Grant, both former standouts and teammates at Stadium High School and the University of Washington, along with former Pacific Lutheran College forward Jim Van Beek, were all over 30 years of age. In fact, the team was usually several years older than most of their opponents, but their experience, court savviness, and constant motion offense that relied on screens and the pick and roll worked to their advantage. Player coach Darren Nelson made sure fresh bodies were constantly on the court, and crafty, wily old veterans such as Tom Names, Jim Harney, Mike Dahl, Lee Sinnis, Tom Tomervik, and brothers Dave and Gary Wortman, coupled with the tenacity of Ted Werner and Steve Anstead controlling the boards, resulted in the club bouncing back from a second-place finish in 1972 to claim their second national crown the following year, defeating White Gloves Maintenance from Houston in the title game. In 1974, the Pierce County Parks and Recreation Department hosted the national tournament at PLU in Olson Auditorium, and the team finished second once again, losing 94-88 to the Minneapolis Kings in the finals. It was truly an incredible run of national tournament success enjoyed by a veteran group of former college basketball players, many of whom learned the game on Puget Sound playgrounds. Other contributing teammates over the years included Mark Anderson, Jay Bond, Kurt Gamble, Steve Hawes, George Irvin, Mike Jordan, Charles Lowry, Lynn Nance, Dan Stewart, Keith Swaggerty, and sponsor Dick Burrows, whose commitment to the club never wavered.
All right, here's our next group of inductees, baseball, boxing, and basketball. If you'll come up as we read your name, please. And I think we're making Jay help with, we get Jay's bill for all the plaques we're making him hand out tonight. I hope we can afford him. First up, Bill Murphy, who played outfield for the Mets in '66, the Rainiers, and the Cubs in the PCL. Hall of Famer Bill Murphy.
Scott Nielsen, a 2-time NCAA All-American. Scott was drafted by the Mariners but pitched in the major leagues with the New York Yankees and Chicago White Sox.
Mylan Watkins, a 2-time National Gold Gloves champion. Mylan ended his amateur career with 259 wins and just 17 losses.
David Adams, a 2-time Narrows League MVP at Lincoln. David was the 4A State Player of the Year in 1999 and earned Pac-10 All-Academic honors at WSU. David has his family here tonight, which includes his son, aptly named Lincoln. Brandon Merritt. Sorry.
Brandon Merritt led Tacoma Community College to 4th and 2nd place finishes before earning MVP honors in the Big Sky Conference, leading Eastern Washington to their first ever NCAA tournament appearance. Brandon Merritt.
Tatum Brown Morris led Foss to the semis of the Class 3A state tournament and led the University of Arizona in scoring and rebounding her senior year while earning first-team All-Pac-10 honors.
Marianne Stoichen Odell earned 11 letters in basketball, track, and volleyball at Peninsula and led the Seahawks to a state basketball title in 1979, then helped Oregon win 3 straight NORPAC titles before embarking on a successful coaching career. Marianne Stoichen Odell.
Kate Rue. Kate captained the University of Washington basketball team to a 26-2 record and played professionally in Europe as her Danish team won the league title, while Kate hit the three-pointer at the buzzer. A coach at high school and collegiate level, she now runs basketball camps and tours internationally. A real testament to the friendship she developed is that she's here to celebrate her induction as a family of four who flew from Denmark for this evening, her teammate, coach, and their two children. That's pretty special.
I thought, coming from Whidbey Island was pretty impressive. Denmark kind of blows my little drive down here right out of the water.
And now let's welcome the Plywood Tacoma basketball team, two-time national champions from 1968 to 74.
You'll see video of the basketball action up there, and we'll start with the honorees. Steve Anstead, a Bellarmine grad and head basketball coach at his alma mater for 27 years. Steve played collegiately at Portland State, where he was the team MVP for 3 seasons. He was selected by the Lakers in the NBA draft. Steve Anstead.
Mike Dahl played collegiate ball at Western Washington University, where he was twice an honorable mention NAIA All-America and led the Vikings in scoring for 3 seasons. He was a forward on the Plywood Tacoma team.
There he is, dramatic entrance by Mike Dahl. Next up, George Grant, who captained the baseball and basketball teams at UW and was named one of the 100 best athletes of the century in the city of Tacoma. He teamed with Clint Names to form the most potent guard tandem around for Plywood Tacoma. George Grant.
Clint Names. Clint may have staged one of the most spectacular shooting displays in state high school basketball tournament history. He scored 39 points against the state's #1 ranked team, Richland, in a 64-63 stadium win, making 22 consecutive points for the Tigers, still a state tournament record. Accepting the honor for her father is daughter Aiden Cornell.
Jim Harney, a point guard for Seattle University with All-American teammate Elgin Baylor and the O'Brien twins, Eddie and Johnny. Chieftains lost to Kentucky in the NCAA title game in 1958. Jim brought his KG veteran presence to the Plywood Five.
Tom Names, a forward at Stadium and CPS. Tom was an all-Northwest AAU selection and played on a 70s team in the Senior Olympics. In fact, Tom, Clint, and Father Scott played together in their golden years, combining for 198 years.
Wow, 198 years? Wow. That's something. Darren Nelson, a Western Washington University grad. Darren was a top fast-pitch softball player in the area and was with Plywood Tacoma in a dual capacity as player-coach. He was the Lenny Wilkins of Plywood Tacoma.
Lee Sinnis, a forward on the Plywood team. Lee enjoyed a Hall of Fame career at Pacific Lutheran University and coached the Port Angeles boys team for 18 years.
Tom Tomervik, a guard with Plywood Tacoma. Tom was a 3-year letterman over at Pullman at Washington State University. He was the team captain for the Cougars his senior year and earned all Coast honors. Tom?
Jim Van Beek was one of the big 3 stars during the glory years at PLC in the late 50s in men's basketball. During his career, the Lutes won 37 straight games and competed at the NAIA National Tournament 4 straight years, finishing second in 1959. A high-scoring forward for the Plywood Club, Jim is in the PLU Athletic Hall of Fame.
Ted Werner. Ted was the enforcer on defense. Yes, the Ted Werner crowd is here. He was an enforcer on defense for the Plywood Five, performing the same role that he did at Washington State University. 1965 Wazoo grad, the 6'8" center, played for Marv Harshman and his senior year averaged 13.4 points and 11.3 rebounds a game for the Washington State Cougars. Ted Werner.
Mike, I'll have you know, I played against Ted Werner once, and I still have the bruise. Dave Wortman, a forward at Seattle Pacific University. Dave led the team in scoring 3 straight seasons and was named an honorable mention UPI All-American in 1962.
And Gary Wortman, a guard at Seattle Pacific University. Gary was a former assistant coach for the Sonics for 8 years. He helped discover and early work out such players as Nate McMillan, the X-Man, Xavier McDaniel, Sean Kemp, and Derek McKee. He then spent 8 years in the Atlanta Hawks organization. Gary Wortman.
Finally, Dick Burrows, a sponsor who worked for Tacoma Plywood and was a longtime supporter of this powerful amateur athletic aggregation. Dick Burrows. Well, now comes a group of colleagues. I was a little skeptical about how this was going to work because this was the dreaded sports department of the Tacoma News Tribune that it used to drive us crazy at the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, and I know at the Seattle Times, when these guys and gals kept beating our brains in on scoops and coverage of the teams, and it wasn't supposed to happen because we were the big city dailies and they were just the other guys. But the other guys did an amazing job, and it was very spectacular. I want to share one anecdote with you. Unfortunately, Dave Bowling is not here. He's been a longtime columnist, but I wanted to share the anecdote because it told me a little bit about the Tacoma News Tribune and their sports staff. He and I had the privilege of covering the Winter Olympics in Torino, Italy in 2006. We flew separately, we met in the grounds, and I discovered Dave looked really, really bad with some objects in his nose. Dave, what happened? He flew transatlantic somewhere along the way, either it was a cold or infection, but he had an enormous nosebleed. And I said, Dave, you should be in the hospital. And he said, I already went to the first aid. I got fixed. I said, what happened? He said, well, this beautiful Italian doctor came up to me and she says, I fix you. And he said, how? And she said, Italian nosebleed fixer. She held up a tampon. And she looked at him, and Dave sort of smiled, and she said to him, here comes pain. Dave stayed up all night, met every deadline, filed columns, did not sleep for 48 hours with that object in his nose. That is courage undaunted in sports writing. And that's emblematic of the Tacoma News Tribune crew. So we have a little video now to get us caught up with what a great outfit that was.
Flashing across the pages of Tacoma's colorful sports history is a razzle-dazzle procession of athletes, coaches, administrators, sports writers, broadcasters, photographers, trainers, and officials, professional and amateur. According to Herbert F. Hunt's History of Tacoma, the first recorded Tacoma area sports event was a horse race in 1858. And although a fist fight broke out to highlight the day's activities, the races went on. The late Dan Walton, who chronicled the local sports scene for decades as sports editor of the Tacoma News Tribune, once wrote, "Name your sport, and Tacoma has it. Let there be no mistake about it, over the last 2 decades, the internet and social media have drastically changed how local sports are covered. We may not like it, but it's here to stay. Before stories and breaking news were boiled down to brief, ephemeral tweets, we relied on newspapers to craft the first draft of our local sports history. Parents clipped out articles to fill scrapbooks that their children could look back on fondly for decades and show to their children. But that is becoming a thing of the past. For more than a century, the TNT has been the leading source for local sports news. But it was in 1987, as it transitioned from an afternoon to a morning paper, that it started building a staff that produced a level of writing and reporting that few communities enjoy. Awards rolled in, major stories were broken, and Tacoma sports writers were routinely asked to vote for major honors such as the Heisman Trophy, Wooden Award, NBA, NFL, and MLB Halls of Fame, the AP Top 25 and All-American teams. Decades later, this group still holds considerable sway in the sports world. 4 of the 48 journalists currently voting for the NFL Hall of Fame wrote for the TNT from 1987 through 2000. The writers and photographers were just part of the award-winning team. Behind the scenes, a team of editors, artists, and page designers helped put the finishing touches on stories and present them in an engaging manner while under constant deadline pressure. As the staff grew and consistently scooped larger papers in Seattle, the TNT's talent did not go unnoticed. Almost every year from 1987 through 2000, the TNT won the Associated Press sports editor's highest honor, recognition as one of the top 10 sports sections in the country. Yes, the country. Please welcome your Tacoma News Tribune sports staff. Vintage 1987 through 2000 All-Star cast includes the following: Mike Bainter, Dave Bowling, Don Borst, Joe Breeze, Corey Brock, Gary Brooks, Russ Carmack, John Clayton, Patricia Greenleaf Clayton, Bob Condota, Glenn Crevier, Doug Drowley, Ursula Mickey Fagerstrom, Roy Gallup Jr., Greg Gibson, Peter Haley, Greg Harris, Craig Hill, Chuck Hufford, Frank Hughes, Mike Kahn, Dean Keffler, Robert Kawada, Larry LaRue, John Lawrence, Arnold Lytle, Casey Madison, John McGrath, Rodney McKissick, Paul Miller, Todd Millis, Bob Mottram, Ron Newberry, Scott Oberstaller, Bob Payne, Dale Phelps, John Pekarski, Paul Ramsdell, Bill Reeder, Mike Sando, Bill Shy, John Scott, Gordy Schultes, Teresa Smith, Sheldon Spencer, Jim Trotter, Rob Tucker, Pete Waversky, Eric Williams, Lou Kit Wong, Bart Wright, and Victor Ishida.
This is the happiest place on earth. Forget Disneyland. It's right here.
Indeed, and I'll echo what Art said. An amazing staff of writers and photographers and editors, and just a terrific newspaper and a great time in that newspaper's history. It's great to be here to honor that tonight. The first plaque will be presented to a friend of ours who's already a Hall of Famer by virtue of his induction into the Professional Football Hall of Fame in the Writers Wing. Please welcome John Clayton, who will help us present the plaques and has a few words to say about the News Tribune. Professor, come on out here.
To Mark Blau and everybody, thank you for this. This is so special. And I guess it's kind of fitting that I'm the one speaking for the News Tribune and all the writers, the editors, and everybody else, because I was pretty much the first recruit. I know Bart Wright was going off the Seahawk beat and was going to start writing columns. And Bart, being such a good friend and are having such a great relationship, he put me in, and certainly, with Drew Pearson's father, Ted Pearson, and others, they recruited me to do this. Now, they made some bold promises because McClatchy was in the process of buying the News Tribune. And they said, this thing is going to be sensational. We're going to support you if you take this job in every beat. We're going to make this thing as good as we possibly can be. We started out at 106 daily sales and 108. We ended up eventually getting to 28 daily sales, and Sunday was 150. So we went from 108 to 150. And then within 2 years, we were APSC top 10 and getting all these different honors. And it was so respectable. And again, the promises they made. Now, one thing that was kind of strange, because McClatchy was in process of buying the paper, I came here in June of 1986. Within a month, I was fired. And the reason I was fired, because it was an asset sale, and anybody new had to be, let go and interview for the job. But for the inconvenience of being fired, they actually gave me a raise 1 month into this, and they did a good job of paying me a pretty good salary. Now, I always say that I'm a fatalist, and this dream job at the News Tribune actually was a dream for my life, because it made my life complete. In 1987, my wife, Pat, who was not my wife obviously then, she just got hired at the News Tribune. This is in 1987. The NFL strike was going on, and so sure enough, John Pikarski, who worked at the paper, said, hey, get a depressed football writer, John Clayton. Would you want to go meet him? So we met in Billy McHale's in Federal Way with a few other people on the News Tribune staff, and sure enough, pretty soon we started dating. We have been together now 34 years. 34 years. So in other words, this was a dream job. This paper was so good, they let me work part-time for ESPN, where I actually ended up having a 22-year career, making it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but also, to make my life, I got my wife. And so I thank everybody at the News Tribune, and we have some great people to present, give plaques to. It's such an honor to be here and to be able to do this. Thank you, everybody.
The 1987-2000 All-Star cast includes the following, and since everyone is recognized in your souvenir program, I'm going to be introducing those who are here. They include, alphabetically, Mike Bainter, Dave Bowling, Don Borst, Joe Breeze, Corey Brock, Gary Brooks, Russ Carmack, John Clayton, you're already here, Patricia Greenleaf Clayton, Bob Condotta, Glenn Crevier, Doug Drowley, Ursula Mickey, Roy Gallup Jr., Greg Gibson, Peter Haley, Greg Harris, Craig Hill, Chuck Hufford, Frank Hughes. Mike Kahn. Dean Keflin. Joanne Kahn, accepting for her husband, Mike. Robert Kawada. Larry LaRue. John Lawrence. Accepting for John Lawrence, his sons, Arnold Lytle. Casey Madison. John McGrath. Rodney McKissick. Paul Miller. Todd Millis. Bob Mottram. Ron Newberry. Scott Oberstaller. Bob Payne. Dale Phelps. John Pikarski. Paul Ramsdell. Bill Reeder. Mike Sando. Bill Shy. John Scott. Gordy Schultes. Teresa Smith. Sheldon Spencer. Jim Trotter. Rob Tucker. Pete Waversky. Eric Williams. Lou Kit Wong. Bart Wright. Finally, Victor Yoshida. We have completed the Hall of Honor.
Let's get a final round of applause for an unbelievable staff that put out a great newspaper for many, many years, the Tacoma News Tribune staff from 1987 to 2000. Now get off the stage.
Now I can say it. I like those guys.
Now you're probably thinking to yourself, we've run out of Hall of Fame candidates. Oh, you'd be wrong. We've got more to honor because that's how big this presentation is. Here we go, athletes in racing, fencing, football, mountaineering, hiking, shooting, snow skiing, parallel parking, slow pitch softball, fast pitch softball, swimming, track and field, and volleyball. Turn your attention to the screens.
Now that our sports writers and photographers have been properly recognized, it's only right that we take a look at another group of outstanding athletes whose talents help keep the newspaper's staff gainfully employed chasing story after story. During the 40s, Tacoma was a hotbed for midget auto racing at Old Athletic Park. And in 1948, the city of Tacoma car brought national recognition to Tacoma when it finished 6th in the Indy 500. Well, Derek Cope put his baseball aspirations aside to focus on racing and nabbed 3 wins in the NASCAR Northwest Series before bursting on the national scene by winning the 1990 Daytona 500.
Here comes the field driving for the finish. And on the outside, it is car number 10, Derek Cope. Something amiss on the Earnhardt car. Coming to the line, it's Labonte pulling up, and an amazing finish. The Whitcomb Racing Team has won it.
Unbelievable. Derek Cope's first top 5 finish, his first victory, comes in the Daytona 500. A remarkable day of sport.
A victory at Dover that same year helped him finish 18th in the Cup Series standings in 1990. The Bethel High School grad continues to remain active as a driver, owner, and team manager, now residing in North Carolina. Think about this: 16 national championships, 4 world titles. Pretty impressive for Gary Ellis, who's known as a BMX racing legend. Gary started his BMX racing career at age 11, won his first race at age 15 against a national field, and turned pro at age 17. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Ellis was one of BMX's top pros and was the face of his sport, having appeared on the cover of BMX magazines 48 times.
The crowd here anticipating yet another win by Gary Ellis. Maybe the world's most famous BMX racer the sport has ever seen. Can Gary Ellis make it 3 in a row? The gate is drawn and we are off. It's a clean start up the first roller. Who will take turn number 1? Gary Ellis is in fine position. Neil Wood is right there. Neil Wood boxes out a rider goes down, and look at the move by Gary Ellis. Dale Holmes is the rider that goes off the track. He will not finish in this race anywhere near Gary Ellis. Gary Ellis trying to make it 3 for 3. It's the Grand Nationals. You can't ask for any better racer than this. Veltman right there in second place, but it's Gary Ellis. He's gonna make it 3 for 3. The legendary man from GT, a rider goes down, that's Veltman, but it's Gary Ellis, your winner.
Gary Ellis has been doing this for so many years. You're the big winner of the biggest race of the year. How do you feel?
And this is the best. It's what I want to do. I want to leave the sport still being a winner. I won all 3 mains today. That's what my whole career is all about.
You set a standard for a lot of young people, and you're a champion, and you'll always be a champion.
That's quite a ride for the 2-time Hall of Famer, and after tonight, we're pleased to make it 3. No need to be on the fence with this next selection, as from the moment Harold Hilleman immigrated to the United States from Poland, he devoted his lifetime to keeping fencing alive in Tacoma. He took up fencing at age 36 in Lakewood, and then gained a greater appreciation for the sport by attending classes at the Tacoma YMCA. Harold became proficient in all 3 weapons, épée, saber, and foil, and eventually founded the Blue Steel Fencing Club while providing instruction at multiple locations throughout Pierce County. He passed away at the age of 87 as president of the Metro Tacoma Fencing Club, which has been serving the South Puget Sound since 1999. After a standout career in both basketball and football at Puyallup High, where he earned all-state honors as a wide receiver and made the News Tribune's all-area team, Dane Looker played 2 years of basketball at Western Washington University. The lure to reconnect with his high school quarterback, Brock Heward, was too good to pass up, though, and so he transferred to the University of Washington. The Heward-DeLooker connection was an instant success, and in his first game, he tied the school record with 11 catches and later broke it with 12 catches against USC. His sure-handedness and patience paid off as he played for the St. Louis Rams from 2002 through 2008. He also played 1 season in the NFL Europe League, and his 2 touchdowns in World Bowl X earned him MVP honors for his winning Berlin Thunder team.
Quick pass, Dane Looker.
into the end zone. Touchdown, Berlin Thunder. That's offensive coordinator Bob Bignell. I think he's pleased.
You think they're a little charged up about this World Bowl and trying to defend their title?
Wearing wool bloomers, a full-skirted coat and straw hat, and using coal dust as sunscreen, Faye Fuller became the first known woman to reach the summit of Mount Rainier, accomplishing that feat in 1890. Following her historic climb, Faye was given a column called Mountain Murmurs that ran Sundays in the Tacoma Ledger. And as the first female journalist at the Ledger, her column made her Tacoma's first outdoor adventure sports writer. Faye was actively involved in the establishment of Mount Rainier National Park and helped found the Tacoma Alpine Club. Just like the unsinkable Molly Brown, there was no keeping Faye Fuller down from conquering the 14,411-foot summit of what is affectionately known in Pierce County as Mount Tacoma. As impressive as Faye's ascent of Mount Rainier was, given the clothing and equipment used in their climb, consider Bronca Sundstrom, who at the age of 77 became the oldest known woman to reach the summit. That is a record that still stands for this Holocaust survivor who migrated to Tacoma in 1949. She and husband Aki started climbing from Paradise to Camp Muir over 20 times per year. And it's believed that Sundstrom has climbed to Camp Muir more than anybody who is not a professional guide or park climbing ranger. With longtime friend and guide Jason Edwards leading the way, Bronca finished the round-trip summit effort in 18 hours, a trek that most people take 2 to 3 days to complete.
77 years old. Bronca was amazing. Just stormed right up that mountain. She was right behind my heels the whole way.
Halfway, my guide says, "Aren't you afraid, Bronca?" And I said, "If you're not afraid, why would I be afraid?" It's not special if you don't see right.
Oh, yeah.
In the rocks, but it was worth it. Look at the sun now.
So we had the mountain virtually to ourselves, and when we hit the summit at about 6:30 at night, the sun was just about to go down at 7.
It's so unbelievable, beautiful, but you have to be lucky to have the weather with you. We had the weather with us. The stars are huge, and it was a half a moon, and I think we're something out of space. It was so huge and so clear and so beautiful.
Round trip about 18 hours from Paradise to Paradise.
Sundstrom still hikes on and around Rainier at age 94. In our daily lives, the term shoot can be used in many ways. Shoot, I lost my wallet. Or shoot, I locked my keys in my car. But in sports, it can take on a completely different meaning, such as, shoot, how could I have missed that fastball right down the pipe? Or shoot, how could I have possibly missed that 2-foot putt for an eagle? But when Morgan Hicks Walliser hears the term shoot, all she knows is to take a deep breath, aim, and pull the trigger. And that she did with resounding accuracy and success. This Roy native was an NCAA champion rifle shooter, placed 7th at the World Championships in Italy, and went straight to the Summer Olympics in Athens, Greece, where she placed 12th in the 50-meter small-bore rifle competition, the best of 2 Americans. Morgan earned All-American honors and the 2004 NCAA air rifle title while at Murray State, and competed in numerous international events. And this past November, Morgan was inducted into the MSU Hall of Fame. Shoot, that's not bad at all. Let's dip back to the 1940s and salute Richie Nelson, who began his skiing career by taking lessons with his Lincoln High School Ski Club classmates at Paradise in 1946. Of course, back then, rope tows only got you so far, so to get to the top, you walked on your skis with the use of canvas sleeves for traction. A member of the high school hockey team and the state championship football team, Richie acquired his teaching techniques and skills from skiing legends Stan Olsen and Joe Laporte, and was soon providing instruction at the Cascade Ski School, Crystal Mountain, and Snoqualmie Summit, and was a certified ski instructor for over 50 years. When we think of the Grand Coulee Dam, we envision the powerful rush of water crashing into the Columbia River. Well, when softball players hear the name of Todd Cooley, we too envision his powerful crush of ball-meeting bat as it quickly leaves the yard. And a few of his bombs have also landed in the Columbia River when playing at Riverfront Park in Wenatchee. A force to be reckoned with statewide and nationally, Todd was a key member of the People's Church slow pitch teams and won multiple national championships in the 80s, and he earned multiple All-State, State MVP, World Championships All-Star, and All-World recognition in over 25 years of competition. What's so special about this Franklin Pierce and PLU grad? Try a lifetime batting average over 700 and over 1,000 career home runs. That is pretty cool. A 1958 graduate of Orting High School, Cleon Tungsvik was a catcher and pitcher when he first started playing fast-pitch softball and enjoyed an outstanding career, competing in as many as a dozen national tournaments. Locally, he played for Puget Sound Bank and Cloverleaf Tavern, and then turned to coaching and sponsoring his Cleon's Auto Team. He also was an active coach of youth baseball teams. One highlight was in 2010, when 3 generations of Tungsviks played together: Jeff, Tom, Keith, JT, and Cleon. At age 78, Cleon still plays in an old-timers league in King County. The key to his success as a pitcher? I didn't try to analyze anything like they do today. I towed the mound and just did it. To borrow a well-known phrase, "Attaway, Cleon." You think flipper was good? Take a look at these 3 swimming greats. Born in 1925, Bert Thomas discovered his gift for swimming long distances and was recruited by the Marines as a combat swimmer. Inspired by the fact that renowned distance swimmer Florence Chadwick failed in her attempt to become the first to swim across the Strait of Juan de Fuca, Bert set out to do what she could not. On the evening of July 7, 1955, Thomas set off from Edith's Hook near Port Angeles, and 11 hours and 10 minutes later was welcomed by 2,000 spectators, won $3,500 in prize money, and earned the reputation as the best long-distance open water swimmer in state history. She's been described as tenacious more than once, but if that's what it took to become the fastest female to ever come out of Tacoma, then so be it. Thus, it was no surprise to anyone that Roxanne Carlton Raubacher was a state champion in the 200 and 500-meter freestyle her senior year in 1982 at Wilson, and ranked in the top 25 in the world in a 1,500-meter free as well. From 1981 to 1986, Roxanne was a 12-time champion at the Northwest Regional Meets and competed in the 1984 Olympic Trials. Inducted into the Southern Illinois University Sports Hall of Fame, Raubacher remains the school's record holder in 3 events, which have stood for over 23 years, and was a 10-time NCAA Division I All-American. A state champion his senior year in the 100-yard breaststroke, followed by a 5th-place finish at the U.S. Open Championships, Steve Van Ward has been and continues to be a winner in multiple sports and age groups. As a Puyallup Viking, he held all but 2 individual swim records at the school, and as a member of the Tacoma Swim Club, Steve was on the 400-meter medley relay that broke the American record in 1974 with teammates Dave Hanula, Rod Stewart, and Dick Hanula. 41 years later, Van Wart placed 7th in both the 50 and 100 breaststroke at the U.S. Masters National Championships. This past August, Steve placed 7th for his age at the International Triathlon Union World Championships in Switzerland, and followed that up by winning the USA Triathlon National Championship this past November. In her 4 seasons at Bellarmine Prep, Bree Fellnagel captured 8 state championships, 2 in cross country, and 6 in track and field, and led her team to the 4A state crowns in both cross country and track and field her senior year. One of the most accomplished track athletes in state history, Fellnagel had elite times in the 800, 1600, and 3200 distances. Bree went on to become a 12-time All-American runner at the University of North Carolina, winning 3 NCAA Division I women's championships and competed twice at the U.S. Olympic trials. After turning professional with Adidas Running Club, Bree represented Team USA at the 2015 IAAF World Cross Country Championships in China, placing 45th overall.
I'm really grateful to be healthy. I'm really grateful to Adidas for supporting me through all my ups and downs, and yeah, I'm really hopeful for the future, and it's fun to just, even in the moment, be healthy and racing, and it's a lot of fun.
Tom Sinclair's high school and collegiate achievements throwing the javelin are unparalleled in state history. In his senior year at Peninsula in 1975, Tom broke the state javelin record with a throw of 239 feet 1 inch, the 4th furthest throw ever recorded in the U.S. for high school. He was also the 2A state champion that year. At the University of Washington, Tom was a 3-year letterman, a 2-time All-American, and placed fourth in the javelin his junior year in the NCAA championships. In his senior year, Sinclair won the Pac-10 title and was the NCAA Division I national champion. Tom returned to competitive javelin throwing in his 50s at the local, national, and international levels, where he ranked in the top 5 in the world in his age group 2 years in a row and in the top 3 nationally. A 2003 Puyallup High School grad, Crystal Morrison Engel, was the Gatorade Player of the Year and led the Vikings to second and third place finishes before moving on to the University of Washington, where she was a 4-time All-American. A record-setting outside hitter for the Huskies, Crystal was named Pac-10 Freshman of the Year and earned Player of the Year accolades as a sophomore and a second straight national tournament berth. As the most outstanding player in both the regional and Final Four rounds, she led the UW to 6 straight 3-set victories, including a defeat of number 1 ranked Nebraska for the national championship.
Here in game 3, back on top. Huskies just seem to be getting to everything defensively. Overpass. Point Washington. Griffin to Elmer. Blocked! And it's over! The Washington Huskies, in a stunning 3-game sweep, win the program's first ever national championship.
The team finished with a 32-1 record and had 116 wins against just 13 losses during Engel's stellar 4-year career. Crystal competed 2 years in the Puerto Rico Professional League and on the AVP Pro Beach Volleyball Tour for another 6.
Now please welcome another Hall of Famer, Sam Ring. A league champion 2-miler at Mount Tacoma in the 1960s, Sam was the winner of the first Sound to Narrows race as one of only 8 to run in every single race since 1973. That's one of the great feats of anybody in this room. Sam has coached Mason Junior High, Bellarmine, and the University of Puget Sound, as well as Wilson High School, and is in 3 Halls of Fame. Sam, thanks for joining us here tonight.
Thanks, Sam. All right, our honorees in this division, Derek Cope, who is not present tonight, the 1990 Daytona 500 champion. He was later an owner and a team manager on the circuit, and I saw him drive in a race last year. He's in his 60s, and he's still out there racing with the NASCAR guys.
Gary Ellis. At the age of 17, Gary turned pro, and when he retired, he was considered a BMX racing legend. This is the 3rd Hall of Fame induction for Gary, whose resume includes 16 national championships and 4 world titles for this Puyallup High grad.
Harold Hilleman, who is not present tonight, a devoted enthusiast of fencing. He founded the Blue Steel Fencing Club after years of providing instruction throughout Pierce County and kept the sport active for his entire life once he had arrived in the U.S.
Dane Looker, an all-state football player at Puyallup High. Dane enjoyed a successful football career as a Husky, where he tied the single-game record with 11 receptions against ASU in 1998. Dane then competed for Berlin, where he was in the World Bowl MVP in the World Football League, and as Berlin won the championship. His next stop was the National Football League, where he flourished as a stellar possession receiver in 7 seasons with the St. Louis Rams.
Faye Fuller is not present tonight, and there's a good reason for that. Faye was the first woman to reach the summit of Mount Rainier, the first woman, accomplishing the feat in August of 1890, so it took us 131 years to induct her into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Faye, wherever you are.
Bronca Sundstrom. If you look up the definition of Mount Rainier in the dictionary, don't be surprised to learn that the owner is not the U.S. National Park Service, but it's Bronca Sundstrom, who has climbed from Paradise to Camp Muir perhaps more than anybody who is not a professional guide or a park climbing ranger, and at the age of 77 was the oldest known woman to reach the top. And if you're wondering, yes, she still hikes around Mount Rainier at 95 years old. She's healthier than most of us here. She chose to stay at home as she prepares for another hike with her favorite guide, Jason Edwards, but she did convince former News Tribune outdoors writer Craig Hill to accept on her behalf.
Thank you, Craig. Morgan Hicks Walliser, an NCAA champion and All-American rifle shooter. She placed 7th in the World Championships in Milan and then went straight to the Summer Games in Greece in 2004. Then successful Division I college coaching career. A Bethel High grad, very pregnant Morgan Walliser sends her regrets from the comfort of her home and no doubt behind a gun in Maryland.
Rich Nelson. Give this 91-year-old a pair of skis and you'd probably be hard-pressed to keep him off the slopes. He was an all-around athlete at Lincoln, but ski races and a passion for instructing others was his forte, whether it be Paradise, Snoqualmie Summit, or Crystal Mountain. Rich actually received his Hall of Fame ring a year ago when he turned 90, but he guaranteed that he would hang around to celebrate with all of you, and he is a man of his word.
Way to go, Rich. Todd Cooley is our next honoree. Franklin Pearson, PLU athlete. Todd started playing slow-pitch softball in 1977 with Bethany Open Bible and Spanaway Assembly of God teams. For the next 9 years, he was one of the best slow-pitch players in the region and developed into one of the marquee players on the powerful, nationally recognized People's Church team. A state MVP and World Championship All-Star, the classy Cooley is respected and revered equally by teammates and opponents.
Cleon Tungsvik. Cleon is a very talented juggler. For over 50 years, he's been juggling his schedule as a fast-pitch softball catcher, pitcher, coach, sponsor, and at age 79 is still playing in an old-timers league. He has played in state, regional, and national tournaments, and his newest title is spectator as he watches his daughter play the sport at Puyallup High School.
Bert Thomas is not here tonight, and we could not find a relative of Bert's, but he was a terrific open water swimming athlete. Many accomplishments, and we're pleased to share his aquatic story tonight, so it is not forgotten. Bert Thomas.
Roxanne Carlton Raubacher, a 10-time NCAA Division I All-American. Roxanne was considered the fastest female distance swimmer ever from Tacoma and was ranked in the top 25 in the world her senior year at the 1,500-meter freestyle. She was also the state champion in 2 freestyle events at her senior year in Wilson High School and is in the Southern Illinois University Hall of Fame.
I think Rick Riz is in the Southern Illinois University Hall of Fame, I believe. That's a fun fact for you to look up. Steve Van Wart, a state champ and record holder in the 100-yard breaststroke his senior year at Puyallup. Steve was also on the 400-meter medley relay team that broke the American record in 1974 and won the Pac-8 title in the same event the same year. Using his swimming background and athleticism, last November, Steve won the USA Triathlon National Championship at the age of 66. Congratulations, Steve.
What is it in the Tacoma water that keeps people so long-lived in sports? My gosh. Bree Velnagel, a 12-time All-America runner at the University of North Carolina. Bree won 3 Division I championships, competed in 2 U.S. Olympic trials, and won 2 cross-country and 6 track and field state championships while competing for Bellarmine.
Tom Sinclair was a 2-time NCAA All-American in the javelin at the University of Washington and was the NCAA D1 National Javelin Champ in 1979. Tom set the Washington State record in the javelin in 1975 with a throw of 239 feet, 1 inch. His record still stands and remains one of the nation's oldest high school track and field records. Tom Sinclair.
Crystal Morrison Engel, the 2003 Gatorade Volleyball Player of the Year at Puyallup High School. Crystal went on to become a 4-time All-America at the University of Washington, leading the Huskies to the NCAA National Championship in 2005, as well as Pac-10 Player of the Year honors, and I think that's our list.
All right. Right before Art has some comments, we've got our final big video of the night saluting the two-time Mount Tacoma State Championship football teams of 1979 and 1980.
The only thing sweeter than winning a state title is erasing any doubt as to the dominance by repeating as champions a year later. That's precisely what the Mount Tacoma Thunderbirds accomplished over the 1979 through 80 seasons, winning 24 consecutive games on their way to becoming the first high school football team in Washington State history to take back-to-back titles.
Now let's check the starting lineups for the Mount Tacoma T-Birds.
Brad Goebel, quarterback, senior. Ken Baker, fullback, senior. Mike Vindovich, tailback, junior. Darrell Harper, wide receiver, senior. Brian Humphrey, center, senior. Mike Young, guard, junior. Frank Hobbs, guard, senior. John Hayward, tackle, senior. Angelo Suarez, tackle, senior. Todd DeCarteret, tight end, senior. Ralph Gomez, split end, senior. Ramon Moore, nose guard, junior. Lacey Walker, defensive tackle, junior. Malcolm Sorrell, defensive end, senior. Kevin Harper, linebacker, senior. Curtis Saunders, linebacker, senior. Don Moore, cornerback, senior. Quinn Baxter, cornerback, junior. Fred Baxter, defensive back, junior. John Cole, defensive back, senior. Todd Hunter, defensive end, senior. Craig Meyer, kicker, junior.
And make no mistake, Mount Tacoma didn't just win the championship, they dominated the competition, thumping Rogers and Issaquah by a combined score of 58-6 in the two title games respectively. And this just wasn't a case of playing well when the lights shined brightest. The T-Birds allowed just a single touchdown to an opponent during the 1980 regular season. With all due respect to scheme and strategy, every honest coach will tell you that talent makes winning easier. And Mount Tacoma certainly had a star and parade All-American running back Mike Vindovich, one of a handful of T-Birds from these squads who would go on to play at the collegiate level, along with Todd DeCarteret, Brad Goebel, and Malcolm Sorrell, among others. Vindovich and guard Mike Young were among the few players to start on both of Mount Tacoma's championship teams. However, proving the brilliance and determination of head coach George Nordy, offense coordinator Don Liebrick, and defensive coordinator Maury Boughton. In fact, Mount Tacoma lost 5 of its 7 first-team All-Narrows picks from the 1979 team to graduation, leading Liebrick to radically change the offense in 1980.
We had the QB, and we had Mike could have been. He could have been this guy and moved from his spot over to here on a set. Go, go, go. Mike was always wanting to follow. This guy in here. The quarterback turns, and here is, what do we got? Vindy. That play with Mike pulling. Shh. Get out of my way.
Yeah. Inside the 15, down to the 13.
And Boughton facing nearly a complete overhaul of his defensive line. Goebel was replaced by Fred Baxter at quarterback, with Ramon Moore and Lacey Walker joining Young and taking over for DeCarteret, Sorrell, and Ken Baker as difference makers along the line of scrimmage. The change in scheme and roster, not to mention the challenges of forging a team out of a highly diverse and economically challenged neighborhood, made Mount Tacoma's accomplishments as repeat champions that much more improbable. Inspired by each other, the challenges faced in road games at Port Angeles and Richland, and a cancer-stricken little girl named Mary Ann Dickerson, the T-Birds soared to heights no one in the history of Tacoma football ever has before or since, warranting tonight's inductions of all involved into the Hall of Fame.
Before the game, I told them, I said, I got a surprise for you. You know, I'm gonna bring down a young lady that really probably, and I said it pretty much in these words, she doesn't really care as much about whether you win that game or lose the game. What she cares about is that, you know, we've been kicking around at this school, but, It doesn't matter your ethnic diversity, it doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter how tough you are. It only matters how big a heart you have and how much you want to go out and you want to play this game to the best of your ability and do the best you can to win it. Nobody's guaranteeing you're going to win it. And if you don't win it, what I say is, so what? You played your best game, maybe the last game of the year, and you gave it everything you had, so you ended up 2 points short, or you didn't. You won the game. Well, they won the game. So they went up. Met Mary Ann's mom. It was a big, neat, one of the warmest moments I've had in my lifetime of athletics and life.
Members of the 1979 and 80 Mount Toma High School state champion teams included the following: head coach George Nordy, Maury Boughton, Don Liebrick, Dan Garash, Mike Deutsch, Ken Baker, Brian Barabi, Ron Bate, Fred Baxter, Quinn Baxter, Garland Bearden, Steve Blomgren, Mike Bolte, Anthony Broughton, David Cabrera, Robert Callahan, Mike Carrington, Ted Carter, Ivan Castillo, Kurt Chanowski, John Cole, Fred Cooper, Charles Dalton, Jeff Deshowski, Earl Davis, Todd DeCarteret, Ron Eckert, Dan Flannery, John Furman, Bob Gibson, Brad Goebel, Ralph Gomez, Todd Goodson, Ken Costelli, Louis Green, Ken Hanks, Maurice Hanks, Darrell Harper, Joel Harper, Kevin Harper, Dan Hart, John Hayward, Dave Helses, Frank Hobbs, Chris Horn, Steve Hoy, Brian Humphrey, Todd Hunter, Rod Jackson, Jody Jacobson, Alonzo Jennings, John Johnson, Rich LaMonica, Rob Leonard, Todd Lundy, Vic Melton, Craig Meyer, Don Moore, John Moore, Ramon Moore, Larry Murphy, Robert Murphy, Dan Nelson, Scott Norty, Elaine Patton, Doug Parrish, Dirk Pettit, Todd Pressey, Arnie Richard, Robert Ross, Brian Reichner, Curtis Sanders, Dave Seago, Mike Saunier, Ken Spencer, Angelo Suarez, Malcolm Sorrell, Mike Vindovich, Lacey Walker, David White, James Whitford, Mike Young, and Ray Richards. This closes another chapter of Tacoma-Pierce County Sports Hall of Fame inductions. We hope you'll agree that the class of 2020 is impressive. Please join us as we congratulate them all on their outstanding careers.
Our presenters of the Hall of Fame plaques to members of the T-Birds football team are no strangers to this school, this enterprise, and this success. Please welcome cheerleader Sandy Vindovich Snyder. She was at Baker Junior High, a cheerleader at Mount Tacoma, and I believe she still brought her cheerleader jacket. Is that true? Yes. Wow. She is an authentic and an original. And joining her in the presentation is Rob Rang, a 1994 T-Bird grad who's an English and history teacher at his alma mater. But Rob is better known nationally for his work over the past 2 decades as an NFL draft analyst, and his mock drafts and rankings have been featured on NFL.com, ESPN, Fox, CBS Sports, among many others. He knows his stuff. This team won back-to-back 3A state titles, 1979, 1980. The first program in state history to repeat as state champions. A tremendous feat, and all that T-Bird fans remember are 2 sets of numbers, 37-3 and 21-3, the final scores. So, without further ado, let's meet the T-Bird Nation. Please come forward. Go. Are you ready to present? Okay.
Okay, here we go. Members of the 79 and 80 Mount Tacoma High School state champion teams present tonight include the following. Representing head coach George Nordy is his son Scott Nordy, who was also a member of the 1980 team. Defensive coach Maury Boughton. Representing offensive coach Don Liebrick is his wife Iris Feudel and daughter Laura Liebrick. And also from the coaching staff, assistant coach Dan Garash.
Thanks, guys. And now, team members, Ken Baker. Dan Hart. David Cabrera. Ivan Castillo. Kurt Chanowski. Chuck Clifton. Earl Davis. John Furman. Brad Goebel. Ralph Gomez. John Hayward. Todd Hunter. John Johnson. Don Moore. Raymond Moore. Doug Parrish. Dirk Pettit.
Nice, look at that.
You fit right into it.
It's funny we missed.
Finally, Mike Vindovich. Oh.
Your sister, Mike. You're a man.
We have additions. Maurice Hanks. Fred Baxter.
Right on the apron. Get a picture.
Arnie Richard.
Somewhere.
We were there, and we saw the build-up. We saw the, oh my God, what if we really have pinned our hopes on doing our best, and Coach is telling us the most important thing in the world is not winning, and yet, oh man, I'm as nervous as they are. I'll be honest with you, man. I don't look ahead to wins and losses. We actually have a shot at being the first team to win back-to-back AAA. Before the game, I told them, I said, I got a surprise for you. You know, I'm gonna bring down a young lady that really probably, and I said it pretty much in these words, she doesn't really care as much about whether you win that game or lose the game. What she cares about is that, you know, we've been kicking around at this school, but it doesn't matter your ethnic diversity, it doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter how tough you are, it only matters how big a heart you have and how much you want to go out and you want to play this game to the best of your ability and do the best you can to win it. Nobody's guaranteeing you're going to win it. And if you don't win it, what I say is, so what? You played your best game, maybe the last game of the year, and you gave it everything you had, so you ended up 2 points short, or you didn't. You won the game. Well, they won the game. So, and that build-up led to Marianne at the end of the game. The guys rushed over, and they got Marianne out of the stands, literally, and they brought her. Joel had her on his shoulder. She was only 9, and it was a celebration, cruising around. Yeah. And that is about what I will do to help a team reach their potential to play the best they can, to be the best opponent they can to the team that they're playing that night. And that's what they became that night. One of the warmest moments I've had in my lifetime of athletics and life.
All right, how about we bring out the, at the time, little girl who provided extra inspiration for this club for the T-Birds' first state championship in 1979, Marianne Dickerson, escorted tonight by team member Darrell Harper. And if you'll notice, Marianne is carrying with her the football from the 1979 championship game that was signed by all of the players. That's something.
So, Mike, do we have any more surprises tonight?
Could there be any more surprises? And actually, I think we do. I was told we do.
Are there any 2021 football players from
There's the surprise we've been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 2021 Mount Tacoma football team.
The 2021
coming out
Mount
to see the
Tacoma T-Birds.
better wrap this up or they'll all get in trouble for missing curfew.
As a Mount Tacoma alum, I can say that we have just spanned 4 decades in this moment, and I am damn proud of all of these kids and all of their predecessors as champions. This has been a wonderful moment for Mount Tacoma, Tacoma sports, and Pierce County sports.
And I know Mike Vindovich, I believe, had a couple of words he wanted to say, so we'll let him have the final word for Mount Tacoma. Mike?
I know it's late. It'll be short. It's really great to be here tonight with all the guys I played with. It's really a lot bigger than that. It was about all of us who went to school there. I see Kathy and Sharon and Carmen, Sheila, all the people we went to school with from elementary school, junior high, and then high school. I think the award probably means more now than it did. 40 years later, it means a lot more. But one thing that's really difficult are those that aren't with us anymore. George Nordy, who always gave really good pregame speeches. Offensive coordinator Don Liebrick, who was a lot of passion to the game. Jody Jacobson, who was a good lineman, an excellent catcher. Jolie Harper, who was a tougher nails linebacker, and whose dad, John, his uncle Harry, were my coaches growing up. They had a profound influence on me. They were like father figures to me. And Todd DeCarteret, who lost his courageous battle with cancer last October 22nd. He was an outstanding two-way all-league player and a friend of mine. But I think the truth is, as long as we're still here, then they're still here. You know, you can look now and the players now they're bigger, they're stronger, and they're faster. They are. Now, there's a lot of guys up here that can run 4.7 and below, so we had a lot of speed on our team. The game is more sophisticated now. If you watch a high school or college game, they come to the line of scrimmage and they back off, and the coach kind of signals a play and they run it. We didn't really do that then. We had a huddle. I think a huddle is very sacred ground. When the game was on the line and Brad or Freddie would come and call the play, we would look in each other's eyes, believing that we were going to get it done. And for 24 consecutive weeks in the fall of 1979 and 80, we did that. So to all the birds, all of us who walked the hallowed halls of Mount Tacoma High School, great memories and 2 magical runs. Thank you.
What a way to end the night. Unbelievable evening here at Tacoma. We'd like to acknowledge the program sponsors whose logos are on the screen. In particular, our presenting sponsor, Connolly Law Offices. Our gold sponsors that includes Quorum for Kids Foundation, Marybridge Children's Hospital and Health Network, Domino's, the News Tribune and Columbia Bank, and special thanks to the Tacoma Athletic Commission and the Shanaman Sports Museum. And congratulations to all the recipients. Thanks to all of you for staying and for your patience. And we've had a great time. May I say goodnight on your... Well, Art, I'm trying to say goodnight over here. We're not done yet. What are you doing on the phone?
I've just checked with the National Archives. I gave them the data about tonight's event, and they said, we've just made history. We've covered more ground tonight than Lewis and Clark. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good night, everybody.